Okay, so Victoria, what have we got on today?
So we've got 3 sessions today. So I know we normally do kind of about half an hour for these, but we've got this as we've been naming it in the office, the mega webinar. So this is the end of 2023. So we're going to have 3 sessions. So our first one, we're going to be going through kind of a bit of a review of 2023 and what's been happening this year within the industry, and then look into 2024 and your planning and what you can do to have a really successful 2024. We'll have a bit of a break between the two, so plenty of opportunity for you to go stretch your legs, get a cup of tea, all that sort of stuff. And then we'll have another session we've done some really exciting research where we've actually gone out and surveyed parents nationally across the country. So we've got the results of that and how you can use that to help kind of better your advertising and what kind of the key messages are that those parents are looking to see. And then we've got our final session of the year with Swapnil. So he'll be on from 12, doing his last session of the year, more on Facebook advertising and how you can continue that through December and also go into January and into next year and absolutely smash it with your advertising.
Exciting stuff, exciting stuff. Listen, we know we're asking a lot of your time today. It's 3 hours, but as we say, you can drop in, you can drop out. We will have 10-minute breaks at the end of each session, so you can go make yourself a cup of tea, have a little shot of coffee in the eye to wake you up.
I wonder what you were going to say, a shot of then.
Or tequila, or, well, it's Christmas. Let's just get merry. Okay, how many have we got on so far? We've got a good few on. I'd say let's just give it 2 more minutes, try and get as many as we can. Oh, here we go. Chris, good morning. Hello, Mark from Randori. We've got a Nicola, we've got a Nikki. Oh, that's awesome. Lots of people on. It's really lovely. It's Lee, obviously Lee and Gina. Excellent, excellent. So we'll give it another couple of minutes. This is going to be a good one. Listen, we wanted to kind of wrap up the year with you this year, and I hope you've been enjoying these webinars so far. We think that they've been great. We've loved being able to talk to you proactively and not, just wait for our face-to-face once, maybe twice a year. It's been really good for us to touch base with you and, allow us to, or you to see us, and then you ask us questions. And we want to do more of this next year. Yeah. So I'm glad I'm glad that you guys have come on. I can see lots of very similar names come on every month. So I'm glad that you guys are benefiting. And there's actually been a lot of views after the webinars as well, hasn't there? So it's, it's good that even if you aren't able to attend, you can go back and watch them at a later stage. So
yeah, so as with all those other ones that have been each month, this one's going to be recorded as well. So if you can't make the whole 3 hours, because we know it's quite kind of a long time, then it will be recorded. It'll be up on the page on the Marketing Toolkit, as with all the other webinars that we've done, so you can catch up at a later date.
Fabulous. Right, I think we should just crack on, Victoria, and get it started. Okay, so as Victoria said, we're going to start today's session. The first one is going to be all about planning for 2024, with a bit of a recap on this year and then followed by what we're going to do next year. Now, I know that when we talk about planning, a lot of you go, no, I don't want to do it. And it sounds really boring, right? It sounds like budgets and numbers, but it's not. Okay, this is exciting. And we're going to go into that later, but this is a really great thing for you guys to do. It's something to fire you up. It should fire you up. This shouldn't just be an accounting exercise. That's not what it is at all. You don't even think about the numbers to start with. This is about how you're making your life and your business better in 2024. So this is really exciting stuff that I'm so glad you've come on to this, that you're invested in it. This is where the good stuff happens, right? And the very fact that you're here with us today means that you're going to put everything in for the start of next year and make it absolutely brilliant. So let's talk a bit about where we've been this year, okay? And it would be good for you to hear how it's gone for us, because essentially we're just a reflection of you. We are just your performance, a cumulative amount of all of you put together. That's how we do, right? So our performance is based on your performance. So it'll be really interesting for you to hear what we've got to say, and then to know whether that resonates, whether you agree, whether it's been better or worse, or, or where you sit within that. I mean, you might think, yeah, I've experienced that as well this year. So it'll be good to get your feedback. And please, by all means, throughout this session, put in the comments anything you like. If you think, yeah, we've experienced that as well, Lou, or this is what's happened in our club, put that in the comments, because at the end of this, I would love to just go, we can't see the comments at the moment, but at the end of this, we'll go through and it'd be really good to kind of touch base with you and see what your thoughts are throughout the session. Okay. So what have we experienced this year? Well, I think as many of you will agree, it's been a bit of a tricky one this year.
Bit varied.
Very varied, very varied. But I have to say, overall, and I mean, we are incredibly proud of your performance. We have seen growth in the industry in 2023. There's certainly been tricky times, there've been difficult patches, but overall, from January to now, we have definitely seen growth from the industry. By probably, I mean, normally we look at about 10 to 12% growth rate every year. It's been a little bit below that, but not far off, I have to say, not far off. So a huge congratulations to you all. This has been the most, I mean, certainly since I've been working here, which has been 16, 17 years now, this has been the hardest year of all, by far. The difficulties and challenges that you guys have had to face this year has just been astronomical. And the innovation that we've seen from some of the clubs out there has been fantastic.
Well, it's been amazing. I know some of the ideas that we've heard and what people have been coming out and doing to improve their clubs has been really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, so that's where I would start. I would say that there has been growth, which is brilliant. The beginning of the year was slow. Okay, so as you guys know, we budget every single month. We budget for exact agreement numbers coming in every month. And every year prior to this year, we've been pretty much on the money with it. We've been, you know, within maybe 50 agreements in or out, but Gerard, as you know, is very much about the numbers, and it's like he can see into the future. But he budgets and we pretty much hit budget every year. This year has been a little bit different. January normally should be a massive year, as you guys know, with seasonal variation. January and September are the big months, and they set us up for the rest of the year, right? This year was slightly different. We didn't get off to the start that we had hoped to in January. So it was slow. It was really quite slow. And then it kind of picked up. We got back on track. But it's fair to say that we were a bit under budget. Okay, so when I say we have seen growth, we have, but it's not the growth that we would have expected to see based on years gone by. And the reason we knew that it was a difficult environment this year, but the reason we didn't reduce budgets like we should have done was because we've seen financial crisis in the past, 2007, 2008. And actually our industry was not particularly affected in years gone by. So we didn't really budget for those differences this year. But I think it has affected us, and I would like to see the comments from you guys. It has been tough. It has been tough. But luckily you've thrived from it. So I guess going into that, something that this climate has definitely been a culmination of other factors. We've seen the war, the pandemic itself actually provided a huge springboard when we came out of the pandemic. You guys will know we were flooded with new students coming in. Post-pandemic then led to the financial crisis that we're seeing right now, which is hitting everyone. Whether it is hitting everyone as we believe it is, or whether it's just a mindset, the financial crisis is hitting everyone, we're still unsure about. There's work to be done and research to be done, but it's definitely having an impact on the figures.
Yeah, I think we've seen that kind of difference of, it's not so much people aren't cutting back as much, it's more that they're not spending more than they would normally. So I think it's balancing that around how that works going forward as to whether there is still that opportunity of people and whether how you get them to spend and want them to spend.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else that we've seen this year is a term time difference. So we were chatting about this just this week, actually. The term time, the amount of holiday that children have off is the same, but it's being split across the year differently to what it was. I mean, when I was in school, it felt like summer was just the longest time ever on earth. And then we had these little half terms. Now it seems that schools are spreading them out across the year. So we're having 2-week half terms.
And it varies across the country as well. So you can have 2 counties that are right next door to each other, where obviously your students might be coming from both of those, and they have completely different half terms. I know we were talking here in the office, and there was half term of some sort stretched over about 4 or 5 weeks from what the different people's children had. So
Yeah.
it really has started to vary.
Yeah, and then the difference with schools and academies,
Yeah.
because the academies themselves have so much more control, so they're splitting the holidays. So might not necessarily have a big impact on buying decisions, but it's definitely having an impact on behaviour and the way people behave. And we've seen, you know, in line with Ryanair's bumper figures for this year, you know, they've had record profits and record flights. People do seem to be using that time to spend more with the family, going away, whether it is abroad or in the UK. I just read last week that there was a 30% increase in people going away and in holiday lets in the UK. So I think people are spending that time to go away more than they ever did before. And that certainly seems to have had an impact on our figures because, you know, when people are away, they're not scrolling through their phones looking for things to buy. They're enjoying their time away. So we think that that might have had some kind of impact on how people look at adverts and how people respond and how they're looking for new things to buy. Okay. Something else we've seen is tuition price. So the price that you guys are charging has continued to increase incrementally. So we are at an all-time high with price, which kind of makes sense because of inflation. Counterintuitive in that lots of people and still lots of instructors I know are very scared to put their prices up because they believe that that will have an impact on cancellations. We've actually seen the reverse of that. So the instructors that we've seen that have increased their prices have seen a very low cancellation rate, but they have seen an incremental growth rate in their business performance.
I think it's that value perception, isn't it? I don't think there's any reason to shy away. I mean, I'm not saying suddenly go in and double your prices, but like an incremental increase, like people are expecting it. They're getting it from a lot of services that they subscribe to and that they're paying a direct debit for. They're kind of used to knowing that everything's kind of going up, and so long as you're demonstrating that value and it's something that they see, then they want to support you. Like you guys have made and built incredible communities with your students and parents of those students and people within your local community, and they want to help you out. They want to keep you going. They wouldn't for the sake of a couple of extra pounds a month want to see you guys struggling and having a problem. So I think it's about, if you can do that incrementally, that can work a little bit better rather than waiting until it becomes really necessary to do a big jump.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes hand in hand with the attrition rate that we've seen this year. So as you guys know, we talk about attrition rather than retention, but it's the same thing, just the reverse. So the rate at which your students are dropping out. This year, there hasn't been an increase in attrition, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, like Victoria was saying, they value your service. So the people who are in your clubs value the service that you provide. We've always seen this, right? We've seen that when people are investing in their children, that is far more important than clothes, luxury purchases that they buy. You know, this is something that they really, really value. So the people aren't dropping out, which is fantastic. This is a really good sign for us and something we can take into next year's planning. Okay, because I know we bang on about retention and attrition all the time. Just as important as getting new students is keeping them. And some of you guys on here, I know, do amazing work with customer service and student retention. So it's working. This is a really good sign. Okay, people love what you're doing, they value what you're doing, you're changing people's lives as you always have done, and people are seeing that. So this is really good news from this year. Okay, suspensions, however, are high, and I guess, you know, this might go hand in hand with these long holidays that we're seeing now in schools. It might go into the value perception and the prize people going away. We haven't got to the bottom of why, but suspensions are higher than they've ever been. So we would normally budget at any given time for about 500 suspensions throughout the month, and bear in mind we've got like 90,000 students, active students on a book. So 500 suspensions, it seems like nothing, and I guess it kind of is nothing. But throughout summer, that went up to about 1,200, consistent 1,200. It's now sitting at about 800. So still low in comparison to the number of agreements we've got, but there seems to be this kind of change in behaviour that clubs are more open to suspending agreements. Now, that's fine. If you think that that's good for long-term retention, then we will happily buy into that. But you need to be careful with your budgets going into 2024, that will inflate your annual gross value incorrectly. Okay, you're not getting that cash flow in. If those are on suspend, it's adding to your gross value, but it's not cash flow that's actually coming in. So we need to be careful of that in 2024, and we need to come up with strategies in how you can offer your service without having to suspend people's direct debits. All right.
I think it's just making your students and their parents, like the payers, aware as well, as to, so that when you're doing that sales process, that you're setting them up so they know that maybe they're paying for 48 weeks of the year, and that there are going to be a number of weeks throughout the year that you guys are closed for a holiday, and that's perfectly fine. But if they're aware of that, then that means they're less likely to go, oh well, they're going to be closed for 2 weeks, I'm going to go on holiday for the alternate week, oh, I'm going to suspend it.
Yeah.
Like if they're aware of it, then it just keeps things a little bit more consistent for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. There were definitely clubs that set expectations right from the start, that there are no suspensions, and that therefore help provide services while people are away. And we understand that many of our clubs do have a lot of foreign students who do go back home for a month, possibly even 2 months throughout the summer holidays. But if you can provide them a service, because they probably want to continue training while they're out there, if you can use the tools that you have, one being MyMA members, then you can keep their trading going while they're away. So there are ways and means. Okay, you just strategize everything. We build that into the planning for next year. Okay, so Victoria, let's talk a bit about acquisition and marketing spend. I know we did some research not so long ago to try and find out how much you guys are investing in marketing. And this year, the results that we got back showed that about 60% of you reinvest your annual turnover. You reinvest 0 to 5% of your annual turnover a month back into your advertising spend. Vic, how does that compare with other businesses in the market? What should the spend be? So
it's quite low, being perfectly honest. I'll be blunt. If you take like a multinational, so if we start looking at like a Coca-Cola or a Tesco or an Amazon or something, they'll be doing anything between 10 and 15%, which obviously the amount of money that they are making, that is huge. So if you guys are only looking at really, really low percentages of what you're investing, then you're not going to see the returns on that marketing investment. So I know I've had this conversation with a couple of people that are on the call a number of times, is that it's almost that speculate to accumulate. And if you have got a finite budget, you're better to do something sort of bigger and impactful for a short amount of time rather than that stretching out. I mean, the absolute ideal is that you're doing something consistently the whole time and then you're peaking with big campaigns. But we know money's tight. We know you guys need to make the most of what you've got. But really, the marketing that you're doing is the thing that's going to continue to drive bringing in those new customers. And I say, we see that attrition is kind of stable, which is great. So therefore, that retention is really, really important. And if you're retaining those people, it's the marketing on top of that that's going to allow you to grow. And I think it's about thinking almost on a student by student basis as how much is it going to cost you to bring one student in, and how quickly are they going to make that back. So if it's going to cost you 20, 30, 40 pounds to bring somebody in because of the advertising that you do, then you're going to make that back fairly quickly. If they're on a direct debit, if they stay for a year, you've made that back really, really fast. And the thing is with the type of industry we're in, there's probably only about 2 to 3% of your leads are looking to actually make a purchase at any one time. So that consistency is really important, because you need to be there when they do make the choice of, actually, I do want to sign up now, I do want to come. You want it to be your school that they're signing up for, not the one down the road or the football club around the corner. So it is important to make sure you're making that investment. I know I would say that as a marketer, but it is there. It's the way to help grow your business. And we're not just talking Facebook ads. It's about everything you do. So it's finding the thing that works for you, and not everything has to be expensive. It can be the relationships you build with schools or the referral programs that you set up and things like that. It doesn't have to be just plugging money straight into adverts. Like, you can do other things, you can be clever about it, but it is important to make sure you're making that investment, and as much as possible you're being consistent with it.
Yeah, I mean, the feedback that I've had from I actually did 6 interviews, not last month, the month before, October. I did 6 interviews with clients to find out their perception of the industry this year and what their marketing spend has been and how they found conversion rates. And it was a very consistent message. Many of them actually have been investing in marketing the same as they always have done, but the results have been less. So I'll be interested to see what your view is of that in the comments. What I was getting is, well, Lou, we've been putting the same money into Facebook, but we've been getting less leads. And also the conversion from intro to sign up seems to be harder. It seems to be more difficult to persuade a parent to part with their money, as it were, or to get their child. They have to work harder in that intro lesson to get the students to train. So that buying decision takes a bit more effort, it seems. This is the feedback that I was getting. So perhaps this is, again, ties into the financial crisis that we're seeing, people's buying behavior. It's something we have to think about in 2024, and we have to learn from each other on what happens on the mats and what works and what doesn't. So this is going to be stuff to think about moving forward. All right.
I think that's the thing. I think it is harder. Like, there's no two ways about it. We're in a financial situation where people are being very careful with the money that they've got. So in order to get them to make that purchase and to sign up, it is harder. But if you're saying, oh, well, I'm spending X and I'm getting less results, so I'm gonna pull that spending back, I'm not gonna do it, it just compounds the problem. It just makes it deeper, and you're just going to struggle more to get people. And then if you do start to have any problems with attrition, you will feel that harder. So it is hard, but it is about, having that consistency and learning from each other, finding out what works. Like, we've got like the Facebook community group for you guys to sign up to. If you're finding something that works or you're struggling with something, share it, ask the question. Like, whenever people ask, we get lots of responses. So it's a really good.
Yeah, and Victoria, we're going to talk about the parents survey as well. So we actually went to the parents and said, what do you love about the sports activities your children do? And we're going to give you that information back, because it might really help you in your campaign messages and how you talk to the parents, just so you are really able to resonate with them. Okay, right, so we're done with this year. Let's get excited about next year. Okay, let's plan for it. Let's plan and make sure. Let's not hope. Let's make it happen. Let's strategize and make it happen. Okay, as you know, we're all about the numbers here. We love the numbers. That's what speaks. There's science behind this. This isn't about fairy dust. It's not about hoping for the best and hoping that your business grows. What I love about you guys is, as business owners, I'm in awe of particularly you guys, because many of you are sole traders. There are people who do have much bigger businesses, LLPs, and actually limited companies as well. But for the most part, you are the head person. Okay, you're the captain of the ship in pretty much most areas, right? And I'm in awe of that, because it's an extremely hard job. I'm very lucky. We're very lucky that we can come to work every day and do our job, and we'll go home at the end of the month and we have the same amount of money in our bank accounts. Very nice place to be. But with you guys, you have complete control over how much money you get at the end of the month, at the end of the year. You can plan for it, not only control it, but plan for it. You can say, this is how much money I want at the end of the year, and this is how I'm going to get there. So when we talk about planning, we don't mean it in a boring, you must do this month and you must do that next month. What we're talking about is, what does success look like to you? Forget about the business for a moment. What does success look like for you, and how do you get there, right? This is exciting. This is what drives everyone. This is our purpose in life. So you can say, right, at the end of 2024, this time next year, I want to have a better car. I want to go on 3 holidays. I want my kids to do this and that. I want whatever you want. You're in control of it, because you sail this ship. And this is what's brilliant. Okay. So when we talk about planning, we just want you to think about, why is planning a good thing? Why should you be doing it? Okay. So it's your version of success. It's not what we put on you. Obviously, we look at the numbers from our side, but those numbers just translate into what your day-to-day life looks like on an ongoing basis next year.
Yeah, it's finding that thing that's exciting to you and what is going to motivate you, whether that is a X percentage growth because you're excited by the numbers, or whether that is, well, if I get that growth and I get that number of leads, then it means I can go on a holiday that I've always wanted to go on, or I can spend more time with my kids because I can afford to hire somebody to do the admin or whatever. It's finding that reason that you want to succeed in 2024, because just the idea of, oh, I want to grow, it's hard to get behind. It's hard to keep yourself motivated for that. So it's finding something that is the why, that is what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you get that emotional investment, but you also need the figures to put behind it. Why do you need the figures? Because if you, Gerard says this all the time, right? If you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going to be. So you need to know your figures to start with, to know where you are going to be. And you have all those figures. We do have some people on here that aren't with Nest. Welcome. Welcome to the family today. But you will have your own ways of measuring this, okay? So as long as you know where you are right now, how many students you've got, what your annual value turnover is, what your attrition rate is, what your average price is, then you can start to think about what that's going to look like at the end of next year. And once you've got those figures, then you can break it down month by month and figure out how you're going to get there. All right. So why you need to do it is because you need to know where you are so you can measure it, and it helps you, not just helps you, but it guides you into get to where you want to be. All right. And figure out the story behind it, because this isn't just about numbers. This is about the story behind those numbers. Okay, I've got 100 students. Okay, so what? Well, actually, the story behind that is that you are changing for the better 100 people's lives, 100 children's lives. You're also making your own home life better, your own family's lives better. That's why, okay? That's the story behind it. So, given all of that, I don't have to preach to you guys about why this is a good thing, okay? The planning, the being better next year is the great thing. And by the way, you know, just to put a bit of story behind this from us. Yes, we've seen growth this year, but that is an average growth. We have seen, and I did some stats on this not so long ago, actually about 18% of our clients experienced decline this year, okay, which is a really sad thing to see. And there will be many reasons behind that. We're going to do some research into that ourselves. We're going to call clients, but just under 20% did actually experience decline in business. Now, was that because of lack of planning? We don't know. Was it because of the circumstances? We don't know. But 80% of you did experience growth. So it's not just possible, but it's happening. Growth is happening. It's there for your taking. You just have to plan it in. All right. So how do we get there? A financial plan. And we are there to help you with this, okay? First of all, you figure out what you want to achieve next year. Know where you are and where you want to be at the end of next year. And then we can start to put some financial planning behind that. How much money do you need to get there? What do you need to do to get there? How many new students do I need each month? How many students, and therefore how many leads do I need to get there? So what are my conversion rates? Okay, and then understand what your capacity is in your school, because you might want to get to 300 students by the end of next year, but have you even got capacity for that? Nice problem to have, obviously, but it's something to think about. And then the tuition numbers that drive all the sales. So, you know, what your average price is, what you need to invest in marketing, what you need to get to where you want to be. All right. Now, we've got a budget tool here. And for those who aren't with Nest, please feel free to call us, because we will happily go through this with you as well. Gerard has spent years and years on a financial planning budget tool. And it basically says, this is what I'm doing now. This is where I am right now. This is what my attrition rate is. These are what my conversion rates are. This is what my average monthly tuition fee is. This is where I am now. And based on all of this, if I keep doing what I'm doing, this is where I'm going to be at the end of 2024. All that stuff is built into the tool. All that logic and formula and seasonal variation is built into the tool. And what we want to do with you guys is say, right, if that's not enough, if this is what you're doing now, if that's not enough, what do we need to do to get you further? And then we play with the tool and we amend the figures and we say, well, you might need to reduce your attrition rate by 1%, which makes a massive difference to your bottom line figure.
Yes, it's good to play with, actually, because you can see, you can go, oh, actually, if I reduce my attrition rate by 1% and I do nothing else, so I don't bring any more leads in, I don't gain extra, I gain the normal amount that I'm doing, I just reduce that attrition rate, oh, that's X number of pounds that it makes in our bottom line. So literally, it's really nice actually to have a bit of a play around with it, actually, and almost doing that. Oh, if I flipped things around completely and did this, what would that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's available for the clients that are with us. It's available on the marketing toolkit in the planning, marketing and planning section. So you guys can download that whenever you want. It's an Excel spreadsheet. You can download it and have a play with it. But please feel free to call us. We'll book in an hour with you. We'll set up a Teams call and we can just go through it. We can sit together. All of your statistics are on my MA, so we can just pull them all in and we can have a play around with it and figure out financially how you're going to get to where you want to be next year. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look at how you're going to get there. Things that you need to consider when you're doing this. Now, let me just have a quick look at the chat because I think we've got some people in at the moment. Oh, Lee, we don't suspend agreements. I love that. Wayne, you've seen an increase in intro, but a drop in conversion. Exactly. That's what we've seen as well. Yeah, so it seems to be harder to persuade these guys, doesn't it, to join? We found at the start of the year slow. September was slower than usual, but we found July and August better than usual. That's really interesting.
Quite a few clients actually that summer's like we know there's that seasonal variation, but actually the dip in summer wasn't as bad as it normally is. So I think it shows with that change in the holidays and the change in people's plans, and maybe if people know that they've got 2 weeks in October to go away on a holiday, maybe they don't do as much in the summer, so there's that potential. It's I'll talk a bit in a minute about additional revenue streams and things, but yeah, it's how we work,
how we get there.
Yeah.
James, yes, it is completely fixed now. If you could see how obsessed Gerard is with this budgeting tool, well, it won't surprise you at all. For those of you who know Gerard, it won't surprise you at all. Yeah, he's spent weeks. It is fixed. It's been through testing now, James. So yeah, please do go in and download it. I think yourself and Angela, I think it was, has been through it with Gerard as well. So yeah, by all means, go in and download it. Lovely stuff. So, as we say, things to consider in the budgeting tool is retention and attrition, whichever way you want to look at that. New student take on, but Victoria's going to talk to you about that, and Swap's going to talk to you about that as well later on in the session. Your average price, and more importantly, other income streams. So this year I've seen real innovation with clubs, exploring new income streams and ways to get more revenue in. So have a look at that, talk to each other about how you guys do that. But pro shop, for example, parties, events, all these things.
A lot going on with parties. Like, again, I know we keep talking about school holidays, but it seems to be having such a massive impact. The idea of doing like the holiday clubs and things like that, and opening those up to not just the people in your school. So I know quite commonly it's just been the case of, oh, it's people that attend lessons already and do they want to come? But actually opening those up wider and offering something where it can be an introduction in is both, it's a revenue generator for you because you've got parents paying for their kids to come for that week, 2 weeks, couple of days, whatever you do. But also you're already kind of in the parents' good books a little bit because you've provided them with a solution to the problem of what am I going to do with my kids in holidays. If the kids come and have a really, really good time, then the conversation of, well, why don't you join and come week on week and join the lessons and become a member of the school is a lot easier. So it's a great prospect generator as well. It's a really good opportunity. And similar things with like birthday parties or like activity days, one-off workshops, things like that. They're a good lump sum one-off income stream, but they are a really good way to generate those prospects. And I think it's like we say, when that conversion and when that it's more expensive to advertise on Facebook because there's so much competition out there and all of that is becoming harder. If you've got someone that's already come because you've got them from a different angle, they already know a little bit about you. They already know what it's like to be in your school. They already know that you guys provide a really good service. So they're further down that. I mean, like we talk about that concept of marketing funnels, and I know we've done that on previous webinars and at the conferences and things like that. And it's rather than them sitting right at that top, not really knowing much, they're already down that funnel and they're midway down and they're closer to signing up. So yeah, it can make a really big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. The seasonal variation we've already spoken about. So, and if you're using our tool, you don't have to even think about that. It's all built into the tool. But if you're not using our tool, just consider you are going to get a big take on in January. You are going to get a big take on in September. But it doesn't have to end there. I think what we've seen this year is people have rest on it, and they continue. I mean, in the 23 years that we've been going, we've seen people rest on that. It doesn't have to be like that. You can change summer, you can get more students in throughout summer. It's what you put in, it's the effort you put in. And I think this is the exciting thing about the planning stage. You don't have to rely on fate. You don't have to rely on the industry. You don't have to rely on buyer behavior. You have control of this. The more effort you put in, the more you will get out. And it does take a bit of innovation. It definitely takes a lot more graft, but there are people out there already doing this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Really, in the fact that when we maybe get that dip of sign-ups, so because people are, like, summer's a prime example, they're on holiday, stuff, routines are changed, everything's a little bit kind of up in the air, so maybe the sign-up isn't great, but actually that opportunity for that more ad hoc revenue generation, that increases because there's more opportunity for the holiday clubs and the different activities and things that you can do there. So if you plan it well, you can plan and say, okay, well, I know I'm going to get a dip in my consistent lead generation at that time. I know that's going to fall. So what can I do to overarch that, to change that? If it's Christmas, as I say, we all know it's a hard time to get people to sign up. But then what are you doing with kit sales, gift vouchers? What can you do? Like, everybody's primed to buy at this time of year. It's a perfect time. That I can imagine pretty much everybody on this call has done some form of Christmas shopping, hopefully. If not, get going, it's nearly there. But you're in this buying mode, so therefore if you can tap into that. So there's all these sort of options and things. It's about how you balance the two together.
Yeah, Tony's put on the chat, we find Bring a Buddy parent days are great for introducing new students. Yeah,
Fantastic.
definitely referrals. God, even with us, with our own business, referrals are always the best way because they're
100%.
primed, they've heard it from their colleagues, there's social trust there. So when you're bringing a friend, they're more likely to join, they're more likely to stay. So
we've actually done, there's an article on the marketing toolkit about kind of mixing up that Bring a Buddy idea. So I know it can get a little bit stale over time about, oh, we're doing another Bring a Buddy week, bring somebody for free kind of thing. I know that can get stale over time. So if you want to kind of mix that up and do a few different ideas, there's that article on the marketing toolkit to check out as well.
Awesome. And by the way, hello from Northern Ireland, Leo and Tony. AD's saying birthday parties are great. You're basically getting paid to advertise your classes.
That's a great way to think of it,
isn't it? And why not have that win-win? Why shouldn't you win from this? Why shouldn't it be a beneficial experience for everyone involved? Yeah, absolutely that. Okay, so finally for this session, we're going to take a break in 5 minutes. Yeah, so before we do take a break, we just want you, when you're thinking about this, we just want you to understand where to start and mentally how to go about this. Okay, so commit to knowing your numbers. We've spoken about this a lot. I talk about this a lot when I'm talking to clients. Your numbers are all there. For those of you who are with MyMA, or with Nest, you have MyMA and you know your numbers. Okay. Sometimes I wonder when I speak to instructors, I say, oh, what's your attrition rate? How much? No, I don't know. I never really look at the numbers. And I wonder if that's a similar thing to, I never get on the scales because I never really want to know what my weight is. Yeah. But you should know. Okay. You should know. It won't be a scary thing. Your business is what it is. Know those numbers so you know where you ought to be. Okay.
It also means as well, if you're really familiar with them, you can see if there does become a problem, you can see that really early on. So if you're really aware of your attrition rate, if it suddenly starts to just dip ever so slightly, you've got a problem, rather than when you're down here and suddenly go, oh my goodness, actually my classes are starting to look empty. Yeah. You see it when you've got 1 or 2 students leaving, you can get feedback from them, you can work out why that is, rather than letting a problem become bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, start with your tuition figures because that does make up the bulk part of your income. Okay, so start with the number of students, and I know most of you work on student numbers, which is brilliant. So start with how many students you've got now and where you want to be, and that will naturally form your tuition figures. But you do need to know what your average value is. And sometimes when I speak to clients, I say, what's your average student value? And a lot of them think it's higher than it actually is, because many of you have family direct debits. So you have multiple people training on one direct debit, which massively reduces your average student value. But it's a true figure. Okay, so your one student value probably is £45. But if you've got multiple families in there, that will reduce down to 38. 37, 38, okay? And that is your true figure. So know what you're working with and know what you're putting into your budgeting planning tool, okay? Now, this is important. Share your plan, okay? You've created this plan. Now share it. Better still, in my opinion, is get your whole team to create the plan together. It's not all on you, because that's quite a daunting experience. Let's get all of your team in one place and say, guys, where do we want to be next year? It's not always for you to impose these figures on your team. It's for you and your team to come together and say, where do we want to be? Let's have a look at where we are and let's have a look at where we want to be. You guys are doing a great job. How do we make that even better for next year? And you'll find that if you create that plan with your team, they are far more likely to be invested in it and to stick to it and to follow it. Okay. Not only that, but then everyone's accountable for it. If you all know what the plan is, then you're all accountable on how to get there. Okay. Continually analyze your performance. So if that's where you said you want to be for February, for example, don't wait till the end of February to see where you are in February. Week by week, you need to look at how many leads are coming in, how many signups are coming in, what your conversion rates are, because you need to know mid-February whether you are going to hit your figures or not at the end of February, okay? And then you've got time to tweak it and change it, ramp up the marketing if need be, okay? But track it continually, not at the end of the month, all right? And as we say, based on that, take action when you're off track. How do you know you're off track? You're going to know from this year's figures. Hopefully you've done some budgeting for this year and you've seen what your results are, and you'll be able to see, well, this year in February, I was here and I hit results at the end of February. So use this year as a bit of a benchmark as well on how you go into next year. And more importantly, guys, reward yourselves. Okay, give yourselves a pat on the back. I know, God, we speak to people all the time. It's, oh, well, I'm not doing as well as I thought I would. And
then it's when you actually look, you say, well, go back 6 months where you were, look how much you've grown, and then go back a year and see how much you've grown from that. And it's just this, I think sometimes when you're running your own business, the pressure is on you. We understand that and we know that, but do recognize where you've come from, recognize when you've done something well and when something's working as well, because that will just keep you fired up and keep you going, because keeping yourself motivated is hard.
It really, really is. And, we see this a lot. We hear it from you guys. A lot of you say it's lonely. It's lonely being a business owner. God, I absolutely resonate with that. I hear it. I see it. I know how hard you all work. You deserve to pat yourselves on the back. You really do. This is such a hard job, because most of you are actually teaching as well as being business owners. I mean, that is massive. You are the business yourselves. You're having to do the marketing, you're doing the lead gen, you're doing the intros, you're doing, and lots of you do have a team, but a team that you grow, you grow and manage and nurture is a hard job. So don't forget that when you're looking at these targets, you have to reward yourself when you get things right, okay? And if you want us to be accountable for your targets, this is why we like having these sessions with you. We like to do this budget planning with you, so we can have a copy of your figures and your targets, so we can touch base with you on a month by month as well and say, look, this is where you said you were going to be. Have you got there? What have you done to achieve that? If you're not there, what are you going to do to try and get back on track? So share those goals with us as well if you want to. We will happily have regular conversations with you to see where you're going and where you want to be. Okay, so I know we've only got a couple of minutes left and lots of you have been commenting, which is fantastic. Can I just I would love to see, I would love you to put a yes if you have started thinking about 2024. Just pop a quick yes in the chat for us so we can see. Mark Taylor is a yes. Nicola Ogden, John Swift, James Barker. Oh, it's too fast to read them all. That's good. That's really, really good. How many of you? Oh, loads of yeses. This is absolutely brilliant. Okay, good stuff. That's a very good sign. And as we said before, I imagine because you're on here, it's because you already do planning. How many of you have an actual monthly budget How many of you plan for how many leads and signups you are going to get each month? Just pop a yes if that's something that you do. Armandeep is a yes. Yeah, Kevin Short or Damien, yes. Partly. Oh, Nikki. I bet you will though after this. Not yet. Yeah, we started. That's great. Okay,
Fantastic.
that's really, really good. Right, listen, I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to keep that chat on for a bit. Guys, I really hope that you found that useful, and I'm loving seeing how many of you are actually planning Charlotte's, but how do you know what to budget per month? It's a really good question, Charlotte. How do you know what to budget? Well, what do you want? That's the starting place.
What are you aiming for?
Yeah, there's no science behind that. We want to know how many students you want by the end of every month. So you need to know where you are now and then where you want to be. So this is how many students I've got right now. This is how many students I want by the end of 2024. The budgeting tool will work out for you how many new students you need to get every month, and therefore how many leads you need to get every month to achieve that. So Charlotte, I would say for now, don't worry about the hows and the details. Just know where you want to be at the end of 2024 based on where you are right now, and the rest of it will work out together. Okay. Brilliant stuff. Well, listen, we are going to take a break for 10 minutes. We want you to go and make yourselves a cup of tea or a coffee, and then we are going to reconvene at 11 o'clock. We'll come back in and we're going to talk about the student survey that we've done and the results, and that will hopefully inform you on how to talk to students in 2024. So listen, thank you so much for sticking with us. We hope that you will all stick with us for the next hour as well. And we'll see you back here at 11.
See you at 11.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
So this session, this is actually going to be a nice juicy one. We did a survey because, as we said earlier, we started off the year a little bit slow. It was a little bit unpredictable. We were worried about the current climate, situations that are happening, how that's affecting buying behaviour, how it's affecting attrition, student take on, and so on. So we wanted to try and get a feel for the market, get a feel for market trends and what student behaviour is, and mainly people who aren't training in martial arts. So what we really wanted to know was, are kids still partaking in sports, and are they likely to go and look for martial arts activities? We want to know what the market's doing and whether there's still an appetite for martial arts and sports out there in the UK, basically. So I put together a survey, a questionnaire, which Victoria's going to go through the results. But I put out a survey and I did it as a Facebook advert, completely anonymous. So I targeted it at parents, and I wanted parents to respond and tell us about the sporting activities that their children do or don't do, and whether they would be interested in martial arts. So we can try and gauge that behaviour and then how we speak.
Finding out a little bit more about the wider market, wasn't it? Because we're very kind of conscious that we know a lot about the people that are doing martial arts through you guys and through who we speak to through the customer services guys and things like that, but actually making sure we've still got that wider knowledge of the industry so we can obviously pass that on to you guys and you've got a bit more information, really.
Yeah, and as we were saying before, we know that students are staying with you, but it's driving those students to you that seems to have been a lot harder this year. Driving them to you and then converting them seems to have been a lot harder. So we just wanted to know, are kids doing sports? And also in our heads, I guess we're bombarded with these messages that children are gaming all the time. You know, we've just got these images of these poor children stuck in their rooms gaming, and you know, and potentially
everything's online.
Everything's online. We were a bit worried that there were maybe higher levels of anxiety post-COVID, so children are less likely to want to go out and do sports. They've been, you know, locked up for so long, bless them, that might have changed what they want to do and the activities that they want to do outside of school. So we wanted to try and gauge that. So I asked questions about how many children do sports, and then whether people will be interested in sports, and if they don't do sports, what do they do? So that was the purpose of doing this. So I'll pass over to Victoria and you can talk about what they said.
Give me 2 seconds.
We'll bring it up for you. We'll get there. It's really interesting result and encouraging. I found them both surprising and encouraging.
Okay, good. I'm now paranoid about the technology. So, as Lou said, we did a ad out. So to give everybody a bit of an incentive, we donated £1 to the NSPCC for everybody that completed the survey. So a bit of a nice side to it, and hopefully, yeah, that kind of encouraged increased numbers, because as we know, that please can you use 2 minutes of your time to complete a survey is never the thing that everybody wants to do. So I think that really helped with us increasing the numbers.
And we got a good level of people
Yeah, we did.
responding. So
I think we
it
can-
was a representative number. You know, if 5 people had responded, we wouldn't really be able to feedback results to you. But
Yeah.
because there were a lot, we felt that it was
I think we can
representative.
definitely kind of say that it's valid research, and that we can kind of extrapolate this and say this is kind of the state of the industry at the moment, which is really, really good. So we first off asked, what of the following sports does your child participate in? So we can see there's a real kind of mix. And what's really great to see is that actually 80% of children do partake in sports.
Yeah.
That was kind of the main thing. So as Lou said, we were worried about that increase of video game usage, that everything we hear about in the news and online about the issues of kids being inside and focusing on social media and things like that. So it's good to hear that 80% of them are partaking in a sport. Not shockingly, football came out as our biggest competitor. Also, we found that swimming was really, really popular. So another one of those that kind of sits with us with the life skills and that kind of thing. So good to see that. But I think a really important thing to kind of note on this, particularly from a marketing perspective. So I'll try and kind of give you a bit of a spin on these as to how you can use that information and what it really means for you and your clubs and promoting it. So
sorry, there was a question, how many people? I can't remember exactly, but it was in the hundreds.
Yeah.
So we felt that it was all completely anonymous, so we don't know what demographic they were from, or the age of the children or what have you, but it was in the hundreds. So for us, from a confidence perspective, we'd be confident with the results.
And it went out nationally as well, so we know it's getting kind of a good split. It's not just one localized area as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And also, just to clarify on this, the reason that we thought this was an interesting question to ask is because this is your competition.
Yes.
These are the sports that are competing with you, right? It's not really other martial arts clubs. This is what your competition is. Football, we all know, is the most competitive. But
definitely, I think that's the thing. I think it's really important to remember that. So I know quite often I'll speak to clients and I'll say, well, what's your competition in the local area like? And they go, oh, well, there's another taekwondo club down the road, and there's karate 4 miles over. And you think, well, actually, what about the football club that's just around the corner, or the tennis coach that's doing classes at the child's school and things like that? It's about, quite often parents are just looking for an activity, and we'll go more into that later on with more questions. But yeah, so it's being aware of this, but also you can see them as almost as kind of partners, potential partners. So one thing that I know that's worked quite well for a number of clients is, yes, that football's high along. So we can see there that almost kind of 40% is a football. But for every child in a family that loves football and is going to football, there's probably a sibling that hates it. And what they really, really don't want to do is stand on the edge of a freezing cold pitch in the middle of December, watching their brother or sister running around after a football that they're not interested in. And if your club's just around the corner and you run a class at the exact same time as what that football training is each week, and those matches are, really easy for the parents to go, well, I'll go, one can go to football, one can go to martial arts, done. So there is that opportunity to see those as partnerships and things that you can do. So vice versa, there will be siblings of children in your classes that would love to go to the cricket club that's just down the road from you, or something that's at the same hall as you. So see that as an opportunity as well. Also, one thing that I always do kind of reiterate is that martial arts has got huge benefits. So we're not just talking like with a football, with a cricket, with a tennis, with everything. There's always going to be that stuff of, it's fun, it's fitness, it's that and the other. But the thing that you've got with martial arts is there's that self-defense side, there's that confidence building, there's that discipline, there's the anti-bullying side of it. And that's the stuff that is the thing that's going to convert parents to you over somebody else. So make sure that when you're talking your marketing, you're really bringing out those benefits, so you're aware that this is what you're competing against. So we've now got why do they do these sports? So what is the most important thing? What are they looking for? Why do they feedback and say what's important? So obviously it was parents mainly that was answering this, but we asked what their kids felt and then what they felt. So it was really, really interesting to see kind of the parallels with the two, but then also the differences. So fun and friendship are really important to both. So I say 91% of kids say that they love having fun with the sporting activities. So that's the main thing for those kids. Like they want to be running around, they want to be enjoying themselves, letting off some steam, making friends again. 62% of kids value the friendships that they're making with those sports clubs that they're involved in. So this is at the minute across everything. So this isn't just martial arts, this is sports in general. So it is that real kind of importance. And again, same with the parents, like 62% again, the parents were finding that friendship and seeing that it was really kind of valuable for their children, and the fun, really important. So those two sit across both kind of camps. So when you're doing your advertising, when you're talking to parents, if the child's come into a trial lesson, make sure those trial lessons are really, really fun, really, really enjoyable. Make sure you're buddying those kids up with somebody else so that they're immediately kind of starting to build those friendships and you're tapping in to those things. And then when you're speaking to them to the parents afterwards, maybe if it's with kids, and say, oh, it looked like they had an amazing time, they were having loads and loads of fun, oh, I think they're already making friends in the class, like reiterating those things that are kind of in the back of parents and children's minds when they're considering a class and looking at it can really help with that conversion. Then we see kind of in the sort of other things that are important, we see a bit of a split between parents and kids, which you could obviously expect. So children have real enthusiasm for progressing in that sport. So obviously with martial arts, you've got the perfect setup for this, going through the belts. Like other things don't have that. So for instance, like say cricket or a football, then yes, you're playing matches, you're going against people, there's maybe a league table, but it's not just you. It's that individual student is in control of their own progression and how far they go and what they can do. So really making a big thing of that belt thing. And we often talk about the first 12 weeks and how important they are, but talk about them in terms of the progression to the belt, or are you giving them something in the meantime that helps them kind of tick off things that they're achieving in that time? Because yeah, that progression and that achievement is really, really important to children, and that's the thing that's going to keep them motivated. Because we always kind of joke and say, like, yes, it is the parents that bring them, but you need to give the child that motivation so that the child is going, oh, I want to go, I can't wait, I'm excited, I want to come through. So then the parents are then excited to bring them, so that if something else comes up, and they can say, oh no, I don't want to miss it, I want to go. You need it from both sides.
I think, just to interject there, Vic, the question that we asked here is, what do the kids love about the sports that they partake in? So it's not what they particularly look for in a sport, but when they're doing it, this is what they love about it. And then the parents, likewise, what they love about it. And that one there with the kids, I mean, I was surprised that was one of the results that came up there. But that falls in line. I did a webinar last month for those who were on, and it was about retention. And if you remember, I interviewed 2 instructors that have unbelievably low attrition. So they lose, I think it was like, they had like 2% attrition, which is crazy low. But both of them said that they have continual reward systems. So it's not just the belts, but throughout they have the CAD systems, they have a life skills reward system. They had other things in place where basically there was continual reward. And I know that lots of you are quite against that, because it's like, not everyone can be a winner. I get it, I totally get it. We should reward where reward is due, but it's just about recognition. I think what came through is that the kids love to be recognized in the sport. So
I think it's particularly with children as well, is you've got to kind of remember with kids is that the time to them is quite different. So 3 months to us goes in a flash, doesn't it? I mean, where has 2023 gone? I'm not entirely sure. But for a child, obviously the gradients come kind of faster at the beginning, but even 3 months can feel like a long time. But it's making sure that they have something that they know they're constantly aiming for, and they know that they're striving towards something, and that, like you say, they're getting that recognition, even if it is as simple as like just calling somebody out at the end of the class and saying, oh, you did an amazing job today, like I can see that you've really improved in that, your kicks are a lot better than they were 3 weeks ago. Like just that, it can just kind of tap into that psyche and keep them happy. And then finally for the parents was the health and fitness side. So we obviously know there's kind of a bit of a childhood obesity pandemic, that we've got all those sort of issues. So that health and fitness is definitely at the forefront of parents' minds. So making sure that you're calling that, as I say, when you're speaking to prospects, new people that are coming into your classes, make sure you're just reiterating these things, because that's the stuff that's on their mind and that they're thinking about. So it's really, really good to make sure you're covering those points.
Yeah.
So I'm indeed saying, so we're using progression as a reason for children to train twice a week, and this turn helps with retention. Exactly. That's the thing. If you can say to them, oh, if you're training twice a week, you're going to progress much quicker. Then, like you say, when they're in there training twice a week, you see that retention is better because they're part of the school. It's seen as it becomes above just a thing they do every Tuesday night. It's they're fully in the club because they're there multiple times a week. They're enjoying it. So yeah, really great way is progression and using that for that. So we then asked about why don't children do sport and what do they do instead. So we thought it was really, really important to kind of find out what is the reason. If they're not doing a sport at the moment, why is that? And the majority of the reason for that is either kids don't like sports or kids aren't able to do sports. Time was a little bit of a factor, but not as much as maybe we expected. But it's mainly that my child doesn't like sports. So making sure, again, when you're talking to parents, that you're demonstrating those other benefits, so they don't just see it as it's very skillful martial arts. As again, this is what I say, it's a little bit different to other kind of sporting things that we class because of the nature of it. So making sure that you're reiterating that to parents, so it may kind of help. Because what we did see was that 78% of parents would consider taking their child to martial arts classes. So that's people that don't go to martial arts at the moment. How many would consider taking their child? Which actually, I was really impressed by this figure, and it just shows that there is a massive market out there for you guys. So of the people that you don't have as your members already, these parents, 78% of them would consider a martial arts. So that means they're open to you coming to them with the messages, educating them on martial arts and convincing them to join. So that's really, really positive. Just in terms of what kids are doing instead, I mean, it was great to see actually that the video games wasn't as high as we thought. I mean, it's still high, it's over 40%, but it wasn't right up the edge of what you would expect from what we hear in the media and things. So that's really good. And actually, again, the playing with friends is the key thing. So it just reiterates that fact that the friendship is really, really important.
Yeah, I love that playing with friends one. I think it's exactly what you would hope that kids do in their spare time, isn't it? And funnily enough, I think if you read between the lines with these results, when parents and kids are talking about what they love about the sports that they do, we always say in your advertising, make sure you talk about confidence, make sure you talk about all that stuff. Actually, what the parents want are fun and friendships. Why do they want fun and friendships? Because when they see their kids laughing and joking with other children, that gives you a sense that your child is becoming more confident, right? So even though they don't necessarily know that they're becoming more confident, that's what they see when they see their children have friends. You know, when their children is on their or on their own all the time, or they're a little bit introvert, they're not very confident, they're a bit shy. When they're out with their friends playing and laughing, then they see confidence. So it's how you interpret these results. It's not just seeing the results, it's how you get beneath those figures. So the fun and friendships equals confidence, but you don't have to say that in your advertising material. That will come as a result of you showing that the children get involved and make friends and have fun. And so, I know we've always talked for years, we've said, talk about confidence, but actually, should we be showing images of kids laughing and joking with friends rather than specifically saying
I think
confident?
It's about having a variety. Like, I think that's the thing, is that because different things are going to be important to different parents, so therefore, and some that confidence is going to be really key, and it's always a good thing to portray. But at the basics of it is that enjoyment, it is that fun. So whether that comes through in your advertising or whether that comes through in the trial lessons that you're giving or demonstrations that you do at community events or the organic content that you're putting out on social media, like, it's about getting that message across and being really well rounded. One thing that I did think with these, the other things that they like to do is, obviously we've spoken a little bit today about getting like summer camps and holiday camps and things that you can do to kind of generate revenue and also get new people in. These can be quite good secondary activities. So maybe just leading with, it's a martial arts holiday camp might sort of narrow your audience a bit. Whereas if it's a camp that there's an element of arts and crafts, there's an element of board games or various different things in there that prove popular based on this and a martial arts element, it's a really good thing. You're appealing to that kind of idea that, oh, I've got a kid that's really, really crafty, or there's going to be a little bit of that involved, so I know they're going to like that, and or they can try the martial arts at the same time. So it's that kind of mixed camp situation I've seen work really, really well from like a lead generation perspective.
You know what, as well, I would be really, from the first graph showing, you know, the biggest majority of people that don't do sporting activities because the child doesn't like sports or they're not able to partake. I know how much effort you guys put in to include all children, no matter what their sporting ability is, and no matter what their physical capability is. You guys have extremely amazing provisions for those types of children. I would hate to think that there are children out there that are missing out on training with you because there's a perception that they can't because they're not physically capable or able. So I would encourage you to perhaps talk about that in your messaging, whether it's in your mainstream marketing or whether you have side marketing that you have, but let them know that it's very inclusive and that you're able to cater for all different types of capabilities. I would hate for those people to be missing out on what you provide. Yeah,
because as we know, it's not just for that sporty kid that's involved in everything. There's options for everybody. So really, very good point. So.
Why are our keys not working?
I don't know. It doesn't like to say technology's hating me today. So we then moved on to the ones that already do martial arts. So these are the ones that when we asked what they did, martial arts was part of this. So obviously this is a slightly smaller section of the response, but still enough people that it's very valid. So as we can see, right up at the top there is the fun. Like
this is what the kids love, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is what the children love. So what they're saying, so again, it is those kids. So, but interestingly, we're still seeing a good proportion of the children expressing a liking for the self-defense and the skills that they're getting. So there is still that side of it. They're appreciating that side of it as martial arts. So that's really, really good to see, because I know obviously we lead with that messaging quite a lot. It's the thing that makes us stand out from competitors. So it's great to know that the kids are valuing that. So there's value to that for both the children and the parents, which is really, really good. And again, the progression came up as a really kind of high thing of them saying that 55% of them enjoy that side of it. So as I say, it's a lot of stuff, all that we expect to see. But again, fun is far kind of outstripping all the other things that they like. So just making sure that, as we've said, that's in your messaging. And then we move on to what the parents love. So 100% of those that answered said that they love that their children are developing the self-defense. So clearly that is a big reasoning why people are bringing their children to martial arts, and say that is the unique side of it. So I think it is about balancing that and saying that it is fun. There is lots of friendship building. There is everything in there, but we have got this addition of that self-defense in there. That's the really kind of good stuff. They're learning those skills. Again, the second thing that came up there was the skills that they're learning. So for the parents, while we see the fun and everything is still really important, mental well-being, things like that, all really, really important, actually they're seeing the value of it from the self-defense, and that's possibly the reason why they're choosing a martial arts over one of those competitors like a football or a cricket or swimming or something like that. It's that bit that we have as an industry that makes us stand apart from everybody else, and it's a great life skill. It's there.
It is, yeah.
You gain that on top of all the other stuff that you're getting, and I think in kind like we've just had anti-bullying week in the sort of climate that we are, like it's hard to be a kid these days, and I think parents do have that concern around what is going to happen to their child if they come up against a bully. So being able to have and we know that the self-defense that you teach them isn't just how to kick back or whatever they do. It's the stuff that comes before that. It's the conflict resolution. It's the knowing how to not get into that situation, but if they are in that situation, how to deal with it safely and skillfully rather than it being something scary. And I think that is what the parents are seeing and getting that. So continuing to reiterate that value is really, really important.
Yeah, this was really interesting for me because you guys will know, those of you who've spoken to us about marketing in the past, we've actually always shied away from that self-defense side. We've kind of always talked about, oh, no, don't talk too much about self. They're children. You don't want to put the parents off. They don't want to see pictures of fighting. They don't want to see pictures of, and no, they don't want to see blood all over the place on your marketing activity. That would be inappropriate. But I was really surprised to see this element of self-defense come so high, but it makes perfect sense to me. Now we actually ask these parents, of course they want their children to do self-defense. Why else would they be considering martial arts? But not only that, I think they're looking for self-defense. All those other sports that we showed before, there's not really much differentiation between them, you know, swimming, dancing, gymnastics, they're all sports, they're all just physical activities. This is what sets you apart from everyone. Not only that, it's what they want and what they're looking for. You're providing this skill over and above that's more than anything those other sports are providing. So keep that messaging, keep it. As I say, I think we've not been giving you wrong advice, but we've always been nervous about telling you to talk about the self-defense in any great length. But actually this survey data says it's okay, talk about it, you know, just talk about the benefits of the self-defense, not necessarily that they do self-defense, it's not about harm, but talk about the benefits of the children knowing self-defense.
I think the thing to bear in mind as well is that self-defense, yes, comes out top there, but the skills and the health and fitness, like 66% of them liking that, and the discipline, that side of it is still important as well. That's still really, really vital. So it's how you weave that self-defense in along with that. But so yeah, I think the days of shying away from it, I think parents are looking for reassurance. They're looking to know that their children are going to be in a good place. So therefore, if that's a skill that you can offer and that they can learn, then that can work really, really well.
Yeah, Martin King is just asking if you can get a copy of this data. We can send this presentation out to you, Martin. We have to keep the data separate, the source data, but we can absolutely share these results with you, no problem at all. Yeah, no problem.
So we spoke earlier a little bit about the impact of COVID. So we wanted to see where that goes, where that fits, the impact it had, and actually we were really surprised that it was fairly minimal. So we asked, so have your kids' attention spans changed? Have their desire to socialise changed? And have their anxiety levels changed? So we asked the parents to rank this from 0 to 10 as to how much they'd seen a change within their child since COVID. And actually they were only coming out as 3s and 4s. So I think that's really, good to see just from a societal perspective. But also from the fact of that isn't something that we're having to butt up against when we're marketing, when we're looking for leads, when we're marketing to people. Obviously, some children, it will be higher. This is an average. So there will have been some that were higher, there would have been some that were lower, but luckily we are looking towards the lower end of that scale. I don't know if we'll see more. Obviously, the kids that COVID was sort of, say we call it 2 years ago, I'm rounding COVID now to a standard time, but obviously kids that were born during COVID, we may see a bit of difference as they come through and they get older. But I think at the moment, the types of children and the ages that we're seeing, luckily it seems like they've come through it.
Yeah, that was quite consistent when I did the interviews with clients as well. That was kind of consistent. There were some that did see big differences in children, but most would say, I've actually spoken to instructors prior to COVID, and they were already saying that children's behaviour is so different to what it was 10, 15 years ago, that children are more nervous, they're more mollycoddled, the parents have a lot more involvement, and that they're more kind of attached is the wrong word to use to the parents, but there's more kind of nervousness to be away from the parents. I'd just be interested to see while we're online whether you guys have noticed a difference in nervous and anxiety levels with children. If you have, can you just pop a yes in the chat just so we can gauge, or a no if you haven't. Let's just try and see whether you have noticed anything. John says yes, seen a difference. Yeah.
Interesting. So I wonder if it's,
well, this is why we want to hear it from the
seeing
parents.
it as much.
Notice more difference in parents than children. That's interesting.
That's really interesting.
Yes, definitely, from Andy Whiteley. Yeah, and this is why we wanted to ask, because we want to see whether there is this change in the market. You know, if children are more nervous and have more anxiety, does that affect the buying decision to come to martial arts? Does it actually increase the parents' desire to take up a sport, to take up martial arts, because they want to try and reverse that effect of COVID? Is it making your jobs harder in intro lessons because the kids are more nervous when they're on the mats? Interesting to see a couple of people, the more parental difference. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what came through from the interview. So yeah, interesting.
I think definitely one that we'll kind of keep an eye on over the coming years. Oh, that's interesting. So sort of saying lots of parents starting with kids because they want to help them as they're nervous. That makes sense, I suppose. If they are a little bit concerned and things, then I mean,
and actually,
two new students rather than one, maybe. Can we see that as a positive?
I've actually not seen that before, where the parent and the child do the intro together to kind of
definitely family
break down that barrier of. Oh, that's a really good idea, Roxanne. Yeah,
really good. So I think it's definitely one we'll have to keep an eye on over the kind of coming years. I hate to say it, I don't think we've seen the back of COVID and its impacts quite yet, sadly.
Or just culture in general.
It's impacting culture. I mean, and that I think that's
really nice. But there's definitely more kids who turn up for trials and don't want to walk through the dojo door on the mat. But once we get them in there, they're generally fine. Brilliant.
Maybe that fits in a little bit with what we're seeing from what the parents are saying here is like, oh no, there's not that much of a change, but maybe that's because they take their child as a whole. Maybe it's that initial moment of that joining that is the nerves, but then once they're into something, then they're kind of okay and fine. So I suppose it's about Lee, you've said that about them struggling to get to dojo. What kind of things would you do to alleviate that? Is there something we can do? Like I think that's kind of probably something we need to look at as to what can you do as a tactic to actually lessen that nervousness. So I know I kind of spoke to quite a few people about how the information you provide before somebody comes for a trial can be really, really kind of beneficial and helpful in terms of alleviating that nervousness of, where your school is, what you need to wear, if you need to bring water, what kind of footwear you need, where the parking is, X, Y, Z, all these kind of little things of where they go when they come through the door, what's happening. But to somebody walking into a new environment for the first time, how does that feel? So we've spoken previously about, do you do like a video tour of your dojo that you then send out beforehand? If a parent can show that to a child and say, well, this is where you're going to go and you're going to come through here and this will be the mat in the hall, and then they know what that looks like before they come, does that help to alleviate that nervousness a little bit?
I think when the video's aimed at the child as well, rather than the parent.
Exactly. Is it we know you're coming, that kind of talking to camera, having a chat with them, they recognize your face, they know who they're looking for. It's all that very subtle sort of that kind of side of you that you don't really realize, and you don't necessarily know why you're nervous, but you are nervous for something. Like we all have it. If you're going somewhere new or you're going to do something for the first time, there's a bit of nervousness there, but what do you do? And is that maybe because you don't know where you're going, you don't know who you're meeting, you don't know what that person looks like, so therefore if all of that is removed, then it becomes a little bit more, it's excitement rather than nerves.
I love that idea of getting the parent on, but those are the kind of innovative ideas that we need in the community, that we need. When you guys are on the mats, you're seeing it. I wouldn't have a clue. It would break my heart to see the kids, and I've done it with my nephew. My nephew's got really excited about starting something. We take him there and he just clams up and you can't get him.
It's overwhelming,
get him over the line.
A child.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So finally, we've talked quite a lot about this already anyway, but what are those key messages that you focus on in your advertising? And as we say, we think it's kind of changed a little bit maybe from what has worked and what has been effective in the past. So I think it is around that. We can see the big crossovers from here. So it's making sure that when you're doing your advertising in whatever method that be, whether that's paid Facebook ads, whether that's your organic content, because that is still your advertising, that's still how you're showing your business to the world. So maybe you don't want to go in really, really hard with an ad that focuses solely on the self-defense side of it because you're a little bit concerned as to how that's going to go down, maybe that's a video that you put on your website or on your Facebook that you show the self-defense side of it, and maybe it's like role playing and sort of situation
scenario.
Yeah, a bully scenario, and it's a role play of that, and then that goes up onto your Facebook page so that parents are seeing that. It's all about where is this messaging coming from, how are you doing it, and making sure that these things are underlying everything that you're doing so that there's consistency. Like we talk a lot about consistency in a brand, in marketing, what you're doing, and it's about potential students and their parents knowing what you're about and what they're going to get by coming to you. They need to be able to look at your presence online or know from seeing you at an event or from the leaflet they get as part of your referral scheme. They need to know that when their child comes, they're going to get that fun, they're going to get that friendship side, and that can be a really subtle way of doing it. It doesn't have to be you are going to get bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. It's one of the images that you use is 3 or 4 kids all there with their arms around each other or cheering together because they've achieved something or something like that. And it's how you show these things subtly and how that message is weaved through everything that you do and everything that you show. And they're not hard messages. Like we weren't expecting, like, we know this isn't rocket science. We know we're not telling you something kind of brand new, but I think it's just really important to reiterate that that is the side of things that people are looking for, and that when they are asked straight out, what is it you're looking for and why do you bring your kids, or as the children, why do they enjoy it and what do they get the most out of, it's these things. So knowing that is within your marketing, within those conversations that you're having with people, I think, yeah, really important to just include these. And as I say, the fact that there's a similarities across the two isn't surprising, but some bits is surprising in terms of, like, with the kids, that the self-defense came out.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I mean, with that self-defense bit, that was actually one of the interviews that I did was with a guy down south, and you're going to hate this, but up until October, he had never spent any money on advertising. Don't panic, don't panic. He now is.
Okay. Good to know.
But essentially, he's got a full-time academy, and he's been there for so long. And he just puts out videos of these scenarios. So he talks about, what to do in this scenario and how to deal with this conflict resolution. So he's putting out there a lot of, I guess, industry expert material. So he's saying, he's putting out there, this is what you would do in this. And actually, he says most of his new students come from referrals because everyone knows who he is and where he's based. He gets people coming to his academy. He says, I was talking to my friend and I was talking to them about, I'm having problems with my child. They've been going through this, we're going through that. And my friend said, you should take them to such and such club because they are the best at helping children get more confidence and look after themselves and so on. So he's actually kind of built this awareness of what he is and what his school provides.
And that's really good, because I think that's the thing, is people think that, I mean, I know I'm joking with my hand on heart of not spending any money on advertising, but that free stuff is just as important. He's made a large club sustain for a long period of time just based on that. That shows the power of it. So we were talking earlier about marketing budgets and how much you put into it. And yes, it's ideal to be spending and using these paid for channels, but actually, if financially things are really, really tight and that is difficult, you can still do it through other means. There is a lot of other stuff that you can do, bar just paid up.
Well, I mean, call me crazy, but we do these free webinars because we want to see you guys. We want more contact with you. We want to try and share with you what we've got, the information that we've got. Could you do the same thing in your area? Could you put on a 20-minute webinar on how to help your child that is being bullied, or could that be a way to get more parents involved with you and see who you are? This is the thing, before we're talking about attrition hasn't changed. That's because the people who are with you know who you are. They know what you offer and what the benefits are. People who don't know you don't know who you are and what you offer. How do you get them in front of you to see, look, I'm going to change your child's life. You bring them to my academy, I'm going to change their lives, and then I'm going to change your lives because you're going to have a happy child. So, you know, different ways to get them involved, different ways to explain to them how much you know and what the benefits are going to be. But yeah, I was really interested to see these figures come through. We'll share these slides with you. It's great. And Vic, would it be fair to say that obviously the parents and the kids, although there's a lot of crossover in what they love, both from sporting activities and from martial arts, you would target them in different ways, right? So the kids perhaps maybe fairs, TikTok, dare I say, if that's what they're looking at.
Yeah, like children, obviously especially the young ones. I mean, I'm going to class children at the minute as a sort of younger than 12 sort of area. So kids where their parents have got the most control over what they're doing, I suppose is the thing. To market to them and get into them, it is all about the relationships you're building with their friends. You want the kids in your class to be running into school and telling all their mates that I'm doing X martial art and it's incredible and you need to come, and tell your mum to bring you this time, and tell your mum to bring you because they're doing the thing and I might win a prize if you come, and that's how you get to those kids. It's harder to do that to parents. Obviously we've got the more traditional channels, so yeah, it's very much around what you do that's different towards the two. Where you're talking kind of, I suppose we're talking about kids that are a little bit older that are on social media and have got access to that, then yeah, it's about the brand perception that you put out there and what they're seeing. You need to look like something that they want to go to and that they want to be a part of. So yeah, we talk about Facebook, Instagram, Reels, TikToks, videos of moves that look really good and interesting, and they go, I want to be able to do that, or something that they're going to gain from it. It is targeting quite differently. The underlying messages are very similar, but what gets each one to react can be quite different. So it's about how you tailor that message to the particular person that you're aiming for.
And Vic, would you recommend, I mean, I know we're going to use this information to form campaigns for our Get Into Martial Arts website, which is kind of our directory to get prospects to you. So to try and drive bookings to you. And once we've got that, obviously that will be there for you to see. We'll share it on the community so you can see what it looks like. Using this information, would you aim to tie that all up into one campaign, or would you split them? Would you perhaps one month have fun and friendships in one campaign, and then how does that look?
I think to try and tie it all into one singular campaign and one thing that you do is going to be quite difficult, because like fun and friendships tie together quite nicely, but to tie that also in with self-defense, unless you're doing a bit of a list kind of format, is difficult. So yeah, it's what I said a minute ago about the different avenues and things. Maybe your ad is about the self-defense side of it, but then, so let's say parents, so your ad is to them and it's about self-defense, and is your child struggling with bullying or X, Y, and Z, and we all know those ads that work and they convert and we know that they're good. But then making sure that when they click through from that ad and they're on your page, it's not just all about self-defense. So there's posts with kids playing games at the end of a lesson because they're having a bit of time to kind of burn off some energy and have some fun. There's lots of pictures of groups of children having fun together and doing stuff. There's the pictures from the latest grading, or the kid that's holding up the Star of the Week award, so you can see that reward side of it. So it's about, as I say, making sure you're kind of ticking it off from different perspectives. And then maybe the next time you run a campaign, then you run that campaign and that is all about the fun and friendships, because not forgetting the fact that, as I said right at the beginning, it's 2 or 3% of the people that are your leads that are actually willing to purchase at any time. That's a very kind of common statistic across service industries, which effectively you're providing a service. You're not providing a product that is a one click, I buy it, it's delivered in the post and I'm done. You're providing something week on week, a service that they're going. So to get somebody to sign up to that, as I say, only 2 or 3% of your leads and the prospects and things that you've got are actually ready to purchase and make that conversion into being a student and a member at any one time. So therefore, going out with different messages over time, that one prospect may see 3 or 4 of your campaigns, or get a leaflet drop, or have a referral from somebody, and it's actually that whole message that they get over time through the various different activities that you get that might mean that actually one day they see you at a community event and you do a really good demonstration and they go, actually, yeah, now is the day that I'm going to do that. Like, we all know, we all do that sort of stuff with things, and researching things and looking into stuff for goodness knows how long to decide, like, take that, I don't know, signing up to a phone contract or whatever. You don't just see the first ad that you get and then sign up and it's done and it's sorted, because you know you're locked into that for a time and you're spending time on it. So you do your research, you look, you see at different things, and actually it's something that makes you convert. So yeah, you can have that message over time, vary what you're being specific about, so that overall they've got this overarching idea of what you and your brand is.
And Vicky, is there any benefit in you talking about that? Makes a lot of sense. We've had a lot of success with the last couple of campaigns we did, and potentially that's because of how we spoke. It was weekend warriors, wasn't it? So the terms that we were using, like warriors, superheroes, that's actually how a parent would like to think of their child. So maybe even without listing it, it's that underlying message that gets them. You know, your children will be warriors if they come and do this. I quite like that.
Yeah, marketing's very subtle. It's very subconscious. It's the things. It's what something makes you feel. Like, I always say, it's really hard. You guys are in it. You're in the middle of martial arts, and you're in the middle of your school and everything that it's about. So you know everything. So I always say, if you're creating anything that you're creating from a marketing perspective, take a step back from it and pretend you know nothing. Are you able to find from that piece of collateral? Like, I got a flyer through the post the other day and it made me laugh, because it was for a takeaway. I think it was pizza or something. And it came through and it had got the full menu on it and it got everything on it. And you know what it hadn't got on it? It hadn't got a website, it hadn't got a phone number. So if I wanted to order from this place,
that must have been frustrating.
Yeah, I could have done, because I could have gone online and searched the name of the place, and I mean that's really missing the basics. But have you got stuff on there about what ages you serve or when your timetable is and things like that? It's having those basics, and if you struggle with that, and it can be hard, like proofreading and kind of assessing your own work is really, really difficult. Find somebody that's a friend of one of your, if you've got kids or you have a connection, or somebody, if you do martial arts part-time and you've got a full-time job, just give your marketing collateral to somebody else and go, what do you think of this? Because they'll either go, oh, it's amazing, it's great, and you know it's there, or they might go, oh yeah, it's really good, but actually, where is it? What is this? Like, taking yourself back from it is really important to make sure you know that you're conveying that message that you want. If you say to somebody, with this, I want to give the impression of X, Y, and Z, does that come across?
Absolutely. Get a fresh pair of eyes.
Get that fresh pair of eyes. I mean, I can be that fresh pair of eyes. If you're struggling and you don't know who to do it, then I'm happy to look at bits and bobs for you and work with you on what your campaigns are and things like that. So.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, you know, we've got a fairly new team in marketing now. We're using this science in our own campaign stuff. So the stuff that we're putting out there, which is all Canva friendly, so you can grab it, put it into Canva, put your own photos on. That's what we want. We want you to put your own images on. But we're using this, and we will certainly use this for our own Get Into Martial Arts campaigns, but then the campaigns that we use for you guys to advertise yourself. So, you know, it's all the science is behind it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But listen, we need to wrap up, Vic. So we're going to allow you guys to go and have another cup of tea. You're going to be shaking, aren't you, by the end of this mega webinar, all the coffee. But when you come back, we're going to come back here at 12 o'clock. I'm going to clock off for 10 minutes, come back at 12 o'clock, and you will have with you the wonderful Swapnil, who will talk about actual Facebook marketing. So using all this information and all the knowledge that he's got for lead generation. And this is going to kickstart your 2024. So I highly recommend that you go and fuel up, have a toilet break, come back and get ready for our final session. All right, but thank you for sticking with us so far, and we will see you in about 10 minutes time.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, look who's joined us. Hello,
friends.
Swap.
Hey, how you doing?
We're good. We're good. Thank you so much for joining us. So we've just had a break, Swap, and we've done a couple of hours before you arrived. You're our grand finale. You'll be glad to know. And for those of us who have, oh look, we've had so many people stick with us. We hope you're still online with us, guys. Feel free to say hello to us. We now have the honour of welcoming Swapnil. Needs no introduction whatsoever because he is famous, if not infamous, in our industry, and is the king of marketing lead gen, and particularly Facebook lead gen. So we are going to pass over to Swapnil to finish off this super webinar session. Before Swap finishes for good,
Wow.
just for now, Victoria and I will come back and we'll do a grand finale goodbye to you. But for now,
Yeah, we'll do a bit of a
Swapnil,
Q&A session at the end.
yeah,
as
we'll
well,
do
so.
a good Q&A session at the end. So Swap's going to stay with you for half an hour, and we want this to really catapult your January. Okay, so I want you to absorb everything he says and include it all in your 2024 plan that we've spoken about in the last 2 hours. Think about what we've just told you about the parents survey, about how to speak to parents, how to communicate that to children, and listen to everything Swap's about to tell you, because this should inform how your advertising goes in 2024. And particularly, we want you to have the best January to kickstart your year next year, because every new student that joins you and stays with you, that's adding to your 2024 income, okay? So Swapnil, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to mute ourselves and turn off our camera, and we will leave it up to you.
No worries. Thanks for the great intro. Appreciate that. But I was actually listening to you guys before. I came on half an hour early, so it was really good to like listen to all the stats stuff. Actually, to be fair, so what I thought would be good for you guys is to do something slightly different. And I know this is probably not what everyone might not be expecting, but I thought I'd put a spanner in the works a little bit. Obviously, I will talk about Facebook marketing. It's what everyone knows me for. But I'm going to share my screen, and then you guys can let me know if you can see it. Could you enable my sharing, by the way? Someone on Victoria or someone? Oh yeah, there you go, sorted. So what I thought would be good, firstly, if you guys can see this, see my slide, just say yes in the chat or something, just so I know. Brilliant. So what I wanted to go over today was something slightly different, and it's a shift that I'm seeing that's happening a lot in the market. And I thought it would be good to give you guys an insight as to what I'm seeing, what I'm also doing. And one of the biggest things that I found is I only teach and share things once I've tested it on myself, and also what I learned from my own mentors and stuff. And I thought it would be good to show you the 5 social media platforms I think that you guys should be concentrating on in 2024. And of course, Facebook is one of them. You know, I'm going to go into quite a big detail with Facebook, but I thought it'd be a good idea because I do get a lot of messages from people generally saying, what about this other platform, or what this and that? So I thought it'd be good for you guys to hear like my insights and what I think would be good, and where I think the market's shifting as well. Because there is something that, oh yeah, I'll put it on present. Good idea. So yeah, so basically, before I get into it all, I think a lot of you guys already know who I am, but you know, for those that don't, I know I keep doing this every time, but I'll quickly jump over this. I keep forgetting to change that. So I've been doing digital marketing 13 years now, worked with over 300 schools, probably more now, but ran 6 of my own businesses, how I learned a lot of my own stuff. Currently have a coaching business, an agency, property business. I'm actually about to start my 4th one, another one. It's another agency, but my main thing here is I changed this bottom bit on here. So I've actually spent about £90,000 on my own self, on my own businesses in ads. And this is where I learned a lot of these things, because I always found it that it's important to do it yourself before you even start telling people what to do or anything. So I'm doing this every day. I'm always testing. So now what is it? Now, firstly, I imagine, obviously, this is a marketing plan workshop webinar thing. So I'm curious, who actually has this already done? I mean, you might have answered this earlier. If you have, sorry if I'm repeating this again, but if you've already planned out your marketing plan, can you just give me a 1 in the chat and 2 if you haven't? It'd just be good to see. And there's no right or wrong, you know, in the day, in marketing plans take time. Sometimes a big thing that I found is that people know they should be doing it, but are not aware of what to be doing. So, all right, so a bit of a mixture, quite a few 2s. So I appreciate you sharing it. Now, what I found really that works quite well is doing 90-day plans. I mean, everyone's different. Is some people like doing the whole year. I find 90 days is a better, from my point of view, a better way of looking at it, because the market shifts so much. Sometimes trying to figure out what to do like 6 months down the line might seem like a good idea now, but what if there's a big shift in the Facebook algorithm or this and that? You know, you don't know what's coming around the corner. So I find 90 days is a good way. It's what I've been doing myself, and it's worked pretty well. And then you can kind of judge into sense of, okay, what's coming, Easter and all this stuff that'll be coming, obviously Christmas and things. So this is one thing that I would recommend you guys to do. I find that making it more bite-sized and something a bit more manageable is easier, rather than going, look, do the whole year at one time. And I think a lot of people struggle at that side. I have done, you know, personally. So I find 90 days works better. Now, this is one word that I want you guys to kind of take away from this whole presentation, is intimacy. This is probably, I mean, it's been like this for a little while, but this, I think, is going to be even more important going forward, in the sense of, how do you get people to convert, and how do you, meaning that, okay, let's put a bit more of a, how do you get people to buy your service? How do they actually buy into you? Because at the end of the day, every school owner that's listening to this, you all have a story. You're all very different in the way you teach. Some of you obviously teach different similar styles and stuff, but the thing is that people buy from people. And I think this is one of the biggest things that I've learned myself over the past 6 years of doing it in this martial arts space, is that, why do some people come work with me and then some people go with other people in the, I mean, of course, there's other people in the industry. I think people relate with parts of my story, or parts of what I've done, or what I think what I'm trying to get to is that intimacy level of, how do you do that in marketing, is something that I'm going to share with you today. And I think it's something that is really important, because I am sure that you all get leads. And I know earlier Victoria was talking about it, you know, the 3% is true. It is something I've seen. But how do you convert more of that? You know, you won't convert all of the leads. I wish that was possible. But how do you convert like another 50% of them, another 40% of them? It's through getting them into your world, so that they get to understand who you are. That's probably the biggest thing: who you are, what you're about, and why you're different. They're probably the 3 biggest questions you should be asking yourself whenever you're doing marketing, because you have your own methodology, you have your own way of teaching, you have your own results. It's different to every other school, and people will get attracted to you for who you are. So that's a big thing I wanted to go over. Now, reasons why marketing doesn't work. This is, I thought, would be a good way of saying, because normally everyone does it the other way around. And I thought it'd be good to share from what I've seen, even on the agency side and the coaching side and everything. Is these are a few points that I wanted to like quickly go over as well. Is your offer is literally makes and breaks things, is in the sense everyone runs the similar offer. So let me ask you this question: why would, if you are just running like one lead form ad or one ad, and that's the only thing that someone sees, and you're not doing much content or anything like this, what is the only thing that people can judge you on? Is the offer. Now your offer needs to be like ridiculously different or something like, and I know most people in the industry don't change their offers that much. They just stick with the similar ones, or they copy everyone else's ads and stuff, which is fine. You know, sometimes if an offer is working, you don't want to change it up too much. But then what else do you do? You know, then it's content marketing. I mean, this was touched upon earlier. Content marketing is something next year, and I've already seen it this year. It's probably something that you cannot ignore. It's something that you cannot just, in my opinion, just post pictures on your page. for example, and then expect, yeah, that's my content done for the day. I mean, like earlier, which was explained about the reasons why parents and kids, why they want to do it. I hardly ever see many, well, I don't really see many school owners touching upon them topics, like, about the fun, the friendship, self-defense, obviously people talk about. But you want to be thinking, like, how can you make content that is actually going to attract people to you? So that's one of the big things that I notice. If you're just randomly putting pictures up with kids with certificates and that's it, then that's not really going to do the job, because your competitors, what they're going to, once they figure this stuff out, they will understand that going on reels and stories and showing behind the scenes and showing, like, talking about why people need martial arts, that's the biggest thing. So what that comes to is the next bit, is nurturing your list. So now this is a very marketing term. What it means is, like, if you're getting leads, how many of them can you convert? Literally is like, nurturing means like emailing your list, texting them, social media posts, all this stuff. How can you get someone to consume your content so that they would think of you as the only school to go to? And that takes time. One of the things that I've seen is that, unfortunately, it's in a lot of industries, not just this one, but it's like, when you get a lead, you're expecting that to convert straight away. This is why if you have that thinking, which I don't think most of you do in this group, because you guys understand this, but it's looking more into detail as to what the buyer's journey is. What do I mean by this? Like, where have you ever worked out, in the sense, okay, I get a lead, and then work out when did they actually convert? I imagine it took me years to even think of that, but when I started doing that, I realized, yeah, people, when they come into my ecosystem, they don't convert straight away. I know if it's actually nearly 8 months down the line for me. So for B2C, it's much quicker. So I'm curious, has anyone worked this out? If you put a 1 in the chat if you have, 2 if you haven't. Like, have you ever seen when a lead actually converts for you? And of course, there's that 3%, 1 if you have, 2 if you haven't. Because the 3%, yes, people, there'll be a small portion of your leads that will convert straight away. But have you actually seen, like, someone that might have said to you, oh yeah, I've been following you for a while, and I just wanted to come through now? I imagine a lot of you probably haven't, because it took me many years to figure this bit out. But it's also depending on how long you've been running a school and stuff. You will have stats, but then knowing like, okay, this all comes down to tagging and knowing where the person is in your buyer's journey. So I would say this is hands down one of the biggest secrets that 7-figure and 8-figure companies do, is knowing, right, a lead comes in at this point, I know 6 months down the line, they're very likely to convert. So what do I need to show them in that 6 months to make them convert quicker, is the question you need to be asking yourself. Yes, direct contact with the leads really helps them. Yes, that is your that's the people that are ready to buy there and then. So yes, ringing the leads up and stuff. But I am certain, 100% certain, that you don't you don't get in touch with every lead, because, well, you might do. So there's very rare occasions in certain areas it happens. But you will find that, why is it that people come through as a lead and then they don't pick up their phone, or they start ghosting you and stuff? Is because they just don't know you. They need to see you many more times. Now, this other bit is something that took me a while, is that the middle of your funnel, meaning that you get all these leads, a lot of people just leave them to the side and keep going after new ones. That middle of the funnel is so important these days. And I think this is something that is going to be even more important next year, because of all this, like, TikTok world and all the, there's so much attention that you need to grab hold of. And I myself, I'm literally about to cross the 1 million mark with my coaching business. And the main difference, coaching and agency, the main difference is that's only from a small email list. If you think of that email list, I
think we might have lost Swap for a bit. I think we all got a bit excited about the $1 million business, and it sent us all into a tiz. We'll just wait for him to come back on. I think he may have. Oh, you're back with us, Swap?
yeah, I'm back. Not sure what happened there.
Okay, then we shall see you later.
Cool. All right. So I don't know what happened. Right, so hopefully you all can still see me, hear me. So let's go back to what I was saying. So in terms of like, I'll make this like big again in a second. What I'm trying to get to is just basically a big thing for next year is figuring out how to convert more of your leads. Really is like, yeah. So how do you do this? Education is the way forward. Educate your audience, like already what was shared earlier, in the sense of making sure that people know who you are. Also like these stats, you know, like take it to advantage of what you're given here in Nest is like these kind of stats most school owners don't get, and they don't know what the public are thinking. Use that to your advantage. Use that in the sense where share them stats as well in some way in your marketing. Say, look, by the way, this is from our group. You don't have to mention Nest if you don't want to, but you could say, this is our group where we found this out. Are you finding the similar things? Do you find that your kids have got high anxiety now compared to when it was before COVID and stuff like this, or whichever it is, you know? So what I'm trying to say, the way you nurture your list and things, it's all down to educating, and education-based marketing is the best way forward, is what I found or works the best, is because once someone hears you, and this can be on Facebook, any platform, and I know most of you guys probably want to hear more Facebook stuff, which I'll get to in a minute, shortly, but this is the bit that gets conversions. It's not the fancy little story that you build, or it's not the little like, you know, I see so many people spending so much time on editing a video and things like that. Those are like tasks that you can just give to someone else to get them to do it very quickly. It's the content that you need to just, I would rather you spend ages thinking about the content than spending a lot of time trying to figure out the tech side of things, because that's the bit that gets people to move. Now with AI, this has opened the door massively. It's made things a lot easier. So this is why I wanted to talk about multi-platform. And I'm going to go over the 5 platforms I think that you guys should be concentrating, or not concentrating, 5 platforms that I think you should look into. And what I want to get first, before I even get into this, I am not saying forget about Facebook and go all in on these platforms. You have to get Facebook working well, because the reason why I say Facebook, because that's where majority of your audience is, and it's the easiest place to get the conversions. But if you've got that working, then I would highly recommend that you look at these platforms, because the way forward with marketing and everything now, it is multi-platform. Is how it's called. Being omnipresent is really the marketing word. And this is something that you'll see me doing a lot next year. And I wanted to give you guys insights as to which direction I'm going, so that, you know, you guys can model it. Firstly, TikTok. Now I'm curious, how many of you guys are using TikTok? Put 1 if you're doing, 2 if you're not. We'll go a few ones. Few 2s. Okay. Now, the thing about TikTok is that it's something that you 1 for dance and not for Marshall. Okay. So how do you use TikTok? There's many different ways, and I just thought it'd be good. By the way, thanks for sharing that. It's something that you should be looking at. Now the thing is that this is a very important thing for you guys to see, is what the age group is like. Now everyone thinks TikTok is just for little kids and there's dancing and stuff, but can you see like the age group that you're trying to target? They're on there. So this is something that I'm seeing shifting more and more, that more 30-year-olds are going on there, and you know, the parents generally are actually going on there. But the way you want to be thinking about TikTok and things is not a conversion mechanism, meaning that it's a really good top of funnel place, meaning that it's very short form videos, but it's a very good place for someone to just see you and then go, you know, it's to get the attention first. Then how do you actually get people to convert is you use these other platforms that I'm showing you, and you drive them to your Facebook or drive them to your email list or something along them lines. Use these places. Yeah, I mean, yes, I know this is for it'll be for US generally, but the US is a good way to look at it. UK probably might be a little bit behind, but the thing is that you can obviously see the trends happening. And one of the biggest things I've found in marketing is to get ahead of the curve, because that's when you won't have any competition. So if everyone is literally fighting for that Facebook lead form, which is what generally happens, and they're not doing much content, then it makes sense for you to actually look at these other platforms. And marketing is all about attention. That's all it is. That is probably the biggest currency these days, is how can I get someone's attention? And then the hardest bit is, how do I keep it? And the way you keep it is, like, you want to think about using these platforms and get them into your email list as soon as possible, because doing it that way will allow you. Can you target by city on TikTok? Yes, you can, certain areas. In TikTok ads, this is something that we're experimenting with quite a bit now, is that it doesn't have all the cities. Like, the algorithm is not like Facebook, so don't expect that. But the actual interface itself is like Facebook, so it's not that hard to figure it out. But the thing is, yeah, you do the TikTok ads slightly differently, so they don't have all the locations like you do in Facebook. So good question there. Now, one of the things that I found some stats as well, which is obviously, it's good to know, but short form. But the thing is that you want to understand is that it's about, I'm highlighting that last bit, storytelling. Storytelling is a skill set that takes some time, but it's something that I would highly recommend every single one of you to think about, is how do you tell a story? How do you, now the beauty about what you guys do is that you got tons of stories and you just don't realize it. Like, stories can be just showing how a certain child did this and this and got to here. There you go. That's one of the biggest stories. Story is the best way for you to attract people that are not thinking about martial arts, because if you're telling a story of how a child was getting bullied or whatever the story is, that is what's going to attract someone into your world. Is not a video topic that says here's 5 reasons why you need martial arts. It's actually saying, here's 5 ways for your child not to get bullied. Now, do you see how that little switch has completely changed your marketing? Because you're now targeting people that are basically have not thought about it. Well, they have thought about it a little bit, but they just don't know. And then it's through storytelling. And this is what TikTok and all this short form content stuff is really good for. It's videos. Video is the way forward. It's something that you should definitely be going all in on. Now, there's some new things that are coming on TikTok, which I've noticed, is like hashtag TikTok made me buy it. TikTok is obviously a very good place for e-commerce, but it doesn't mean that you guys can't use it for local business marketing, because if it's working for e-commerce, it's going to work for you. But it's the attention side. So how do you want to be thinking about TikTok as more of an education kind of style way of marketing? Really, is like 5 ways to do this, 3 ways to do this. Yes, of course, you can make it fun as well. Doesn't always have to be like educational, but you want to be thinking, okay, if you get someone's attention, then this is the bit I always see that people do, is they will do all these videos and they'll post it up, but they don't have no mechanism to take that person forward. Now, learning retargeting and all this stuff is very, very powerful when you know how to do it. Because if you can get people to watch your videos and then you retarget them on other platforms, that is where it just completely goes, like, you're everywhere, and that's the way you want to be thinking about marketing. This is the main reason why I'm sharing these things, is that, okay, yes, Facebook is the main one. If you got that working, then think about, okay, where is my audience hanging out? How can I show up in front of them consistently? Because if someone sees you in all these different platforms, then what is the perception anyway? People were like, wow, they're everywhere, they must be big and all this stuff. Obviously you guys need to be good at what you do, but it's important. Now, Instagram is another one. How many of you guys are using Instagram? Put a 1 if you're using, 2 if you're not. And I'll ask you another question after that. 1. Cool. I imagine quite a lot of you are using Instagram, because it is getting more popular these days. Well, it has been popular for a while, to be honest. Let me ask you this question. The ones that are using Instagram, are you getting any clients, leads from it, members? Put a 1 if you are, 2 if you're not. And I'll share something with you that will help you. with it. So okay, yeah. So thanks for being honest there. Not sure. I mean, like that is something. The thing is that Instagram is, if I was to suggest which one for you guys to go, and again, yes, I know it's US stuff, but you want to be thinking of it this way. So out of Instagram and TikTok, if you ask me which one to go for first, I would say Instagram personally, because Instagram is a very, very good place to find buyers. Instagram, if you use Instagram yourself, you'll know it's a very DM kind of place, meaning that it's very direct message things. There's a lot of e-commerce brands on there as well. The video content can be a bit longer in there. You've got lives and all this kind of stuff. And I know TikTok has that as well, but your age group is there as well. But I'm seeing a shift now with, especially with all the leads. I would highly if you're running a lead form ads, there's a bit in the stats side where you can click and see which platform is getting you leads. I've started noticing quite a lot of places Instagram is getting leads now as well. So if you find that, then you want to be looking into how do you get yourself more on Instagram. And Instagram it's a great place, but I would give you this one of how best to say it. Piece of advice: if you're going to do Instagram, be prepared to be in the DMs, meaning that it is manual in that way, but your conversions can be ridiculous. It is very, very good because you have direct contact with the person. Someone starts following you, you can message them, all sorts of things like that you can't get on Facebook. So I highly recommend you guys to look into that. Now, obviously, 90-second video clips are great on Instagram. You want to be thinking about reels, stories. Okay, so what is the big difference between like Facebook and Instagram? Like, to be honest, if you're doing video content, I would do it put it everywhere. And use one of the slides later on, repurpose it. You know, you want to be doing, the best way I look at it is you want to do work once and then spread it everywhere. Makes life easier. You know, we're busy, you know, we're all business owners. So you want to be doing it and then eventually outsource it to someone that just does videos. It's probably the best thing you can probably do. But you want to think about Instagram, definitely. I think out there too, that is going to be huge. It already is. I've noticed it's becoming, it's helping my own businesses as well. But I think with parents and the age group getting higher on there, it's something that is untapped for your industry, because I don't see anyone. This is one of the things that we're introducing in our agency side as well, and showing people and showing different tactics and things. And because we're doing something like a competition and stuff like this, but Instagram is really good for giveaways and all this kind of stuff. So you want to be thinking of it. But if you do go down this route, be prepared to have someone or yourself that can work the DMs, because that's where you'll get the conversions. Don't think of it like Facebook is slightly different. The way people buy on there is different. So definitely important. And then Reels, obviously, it's as if you saw my previous webinar, I did talk about Reels and stuff. So maybe look into that. But short form content is definitely there. It's not going away. It's just that you want to be very clever in the way you use it. Talk about stuff like stats and things like that you found today. That is still good content. So video engagement, again, kind of touched upon that already, but you want to be thinking is that, you know, there's a big portion of the Instagram crowd that love buying. It's a very buying kind of place generally. So I don't know how many of you guys ever bought stuff on Instagram. You know, you want to be asking yourself, if you don't use it much yourself, then I'd look into it for sure. Now, here's a different one. And I'm pretty sure most of you probably didn't think I'd drop this in. Now, LinkedIn is something that I used in my first business quite a lot. And I've not actually shown this much really in the sense of, the thing is that LinkedIn is probably will come a bit lower down for you, but I want you to have this little idea of why LinkedIn might be a good idea for you guys. You want to be thinking LinkedIn is B2B. Now, I hear a lot of times school owners moaning about the quality of the leads and all this stuff. How about, have you ever thought about business owners like yourself who have kids? Do you think that on LinkedIn, the average earning of a person is quite high? It's literally like, I don't know, the average is about 70, 80 grand or something, I think, so per year. So you want to be thinking like, how do you tap into this? Now, what I'm trying to show you guys is all these different platforms, but obviously at the end, I'm going to try sharing with you with the Facebook. But you want to be thinking, like, how can I repurpose my content in all these places? LinkedIn is slightly different in the sense that it's a lot of written stuff, but it's becoming very social. It has become very social. Have any of you guys marketed on LinkedIn? Give me one if you have, two if you haven't. So I got one. That's good. One. So in terms of ones who are using LinkedIn, are you getting any members off it? Put yes if you are, no if you're not. Cool. Okay, that's good to see some of you using it. So why I'm trying to get to is LinkedIn is the strategy with LinkedIn is posting content, doing live, doing videos. It's very similar to Facebook, but I don't see many people using it. And I think it's another really big gap that a lot of you guys are not using, or if you are, then great work on that one, because you'd be surprised. It's probably easier to convince people on LinkedIn that their child needs to be disciplined. Why? Because think about it. The people on there are actually driving their businesses forward, and they're already in that mindset of that. I need my child to succeed with doing this, whatever it is. Yeah, or even like self-defense seminars for corporates and stuff like that. Have you ever thought about doing things like that? So you want to be thinking of, okay, how it is a B2B platform, but the old way of people thinking about LinkedIn that is very corporate and all this, it's not like that anymore. It's become very social. So it's something that I highly recommend that you guys to look into, because what I'm trying to show you guys is Facebook is not the only place. So yes, I am known for Facebook, but I'd use these other platforms. Facebook is great. It's the easiest one to get into. It's probably why most school owners just stay there. But it doesn't mean that you can't use other platforms. You just need to be clever about it in the sense, okay, if I'm doing one piece of content, how do I make it go everywhere? And that's where things completely change. Now, touching up on Twitter, X. Now, this is something that I think will take a little while for it to kick in. Obviously, Elon Musk has bought it. It's called X now, if you didn't know. But he's actually put a paid aspect to it. And from what I'm seeing as well, because some of my mentors and stuff are also using it, is again, the age group is getting higher on it. But this is something that you want to be thinking about. Okay, is Twitter really a place? Now, if I was to put it in order for you guys and say, okay, which places would I recommend? And obviously Instagram will be there. LinkedIn, definitely, if you're not using it. And yeah, TikTok's in the middle for me. It is a good place. But if I was to concentrate more myself out of the lot, then I would say, yeah, Instagram probably be first. And then it will be LinkedIn. So and then TikTok. Then comes X. With the X, or it feels weird calling it X, Twitter. I'll still call it Twitter, but yeah. So the pay, I don't know if you guys know, they've introduced a paid subscription service. Now with this, what I've been shown as well is that the posts get much more reach. Things are going to shift. If it's Elon Musk is doing it, he's going to disrupt the market. There's a thing on there. I don't know if any of you guys used Clubhouse when it came out. There's a thing called Spaces on there. And this is something that has got ridiculous amount of reach on it. So whenever new platforms bring something new, it's always good to go and test it out. This is something that I've been shown that is working very, very well. And it's kind of like Clubhouse on Twitter, really, if you want to think of it that way. If you're into talking stuff and things like, if you love chatting, then this is probably the right place for you. But you want to be I would definitely look into this, because sometimes it's about marketing is about going where your competitors are not. And I'm pretty sure most of your competitors won't be on air. So, but your audience are starting to. So this is something that I would highly recommend. Spaces is literally you join it, you can listen in to people, but the way you make it convert is by giving away freebies or PDFs, checklists, whatever it is, lead magnets basically, and then you get them into your world email list. And as you can see, everything that I'm saying drives you to the email list, and that's something that I would say should be your number one thing to grow. It has made a huge difference for me. Now, finally, Facebook. I probably bored you to death already. Hopefully I didn't with all the other stuff. And then you've probably been waiting for this bit. With Facebook, There are quite a few things, and I think it's something that if you're like Swap, no, I don't want to concentrate on other platforms, I just want to stick with one, then that's still fine. But I would go over this. So now, obviously, you guys know some of this stats. You've been using it for so long, so many billion users. But you want to be thinking as creating personalized ad experiences is probably the way forward. Thinking about next year is literally how do you use the video on the platform? How do you use the short form stuff, the reels, stories, the posts on your page, the videos? Again, sharing stories, case studies, they're probably the best way of getting conversions. Now, if you're running like a 1 week free trial, free class, whatever ad it is. Now, how many of you guys actually email your list with content? That would be quite good to know. Put a 1 if you do, 2 if you don't. 2, yeah. Now, any more? Yeah, 2. Out of everything that I've shared, probably the biggest needle mover for you guys is email more, hands down. Email is the king of it all. It's been there from the start of the internet. It's not going anywhere. It's where people actually buy. How many of you actually have bought something by just clicking off the email in the e-commerce or anything? I bet it'd be a lot of you. I think every single one of you. But why do you guys not market it in emails? That is like everyone talks about retargeting ads and all this stuff, but email is retargeting. So you just need to think it differently. Like when I started concentrating more on emails. Now, why am I sharing on this Facebook bit? Is that when you're sharing content, think about emailing it to your list. Your email doesn't always have to be, hey, buy my stuff. Doesn't always have to be, hey, I've got 10 spots left on my trial. Oh, there's 5 spots left. That's just coming across from a way of just sales. How about treating people on your list like real human beings? You know, say like, this is a piece of content here. Here's a video that I recorded on my Facebook page. Click here and watch it. If you're on my email list, you've probably seen me do this quite a lot. You would have seen me posting, or I write quite a bit on my emails. So what I'm trying to get to here is think about using one platform. If you're thinking about just concentrating one platform, put your content on there, and marketing is all about distribution. How can I get more people to watch it? Now, obviously, Facebook Reels, stories, they go to generally, especially stories, go to your followers. So if you've got a fair few followers, then start looking at, okay, how do I get more stories going out? How do I make different kinds of videos, something eye-catching, something that gets their attention? Now, instant experiences is, if you've not come across that, is basically Facebook's version of landing pages. They're very good if you're never tried it. So one of the big things, if you're sending people to landing pages or anything like that, is that there's a bit of a delay. And if it depends on how good your website is as well, or your landing page software, whatever it is. Instant experiences is where it opens up into like a landing page and is super quick, happens in seconds. And that's why it works so well. And you're inside of Facebook. Facebook loves that stuff. So your lead cost and all that stuff goes cheaper. So definitely look into that. And then repurposing using content, using AI. Now, obviously, I shared all these different things. Now you're thinking, great, Swap, you confused me more. Hopefully not. But what I'm trying to expand your thinking in a sense is that the days of just being in one platform and just doing a couple of posts each day is it's like the old way of doing it. And you need to be staying ahead of the game to stay, to get more leads and conversions and stuff. So use AI, use the tools that are coming, and tools like, let me share with you. So we've got Descript, awesome tool. If you don't use this, you definitely worth trying out. Really good for video editing. And the one that we're using quite a bit is Opus. If you never tried this, highly recommend trying it. It's an awesome tool built on AI. You probably don't need video editors anymore, really. So this is an awesome tool to check out. But imagine doing videos using Opus and stuff, and it splits all this content for you in these mini things, and you whack it in these different social media platforms. That's your job done then. Then you obviously get someone in your team or someone who can actually do this for you. But my biggest thing that I always say to everyone, that marketing is something that people should learn themselves first and then outsource it. Because if someone's messing up your marketing, you don't actually know if it's them or what it is. So I would say repurposing is the way forward. If you haven't been doing this already, like using video content, stripping out the audio, stripping out the texts, transcripts, and then just distributing it everywhere. And that is probably the best place to start. Then later on, you want to modify it, because it's each platform, they say native, meaning that each platform you should have content that is suitable at the same way that people like to consume on that platform. Because people do go, I mean, each platform has its own different style of way that people prefer to receive content. So that's something that you definitely need to look into. Now, here's some tips. I've nearly finished. I think I've got another slide or so. So go all in on video. If you're not doing that yet, you're going to miss out big time next year. And don't be afraid. Please don't be afraid, because nothing can happen. If you don't like the video, don't get much engagement, delete it. You know, now obviously with AI that's coming, here's something quite exciting for people that don't like getting on video. You can make your avatars that will actually speak and everything the same way as you do. So eventually there won't be any excuse for you not to do videos. So create content each day that shifts beliefs. The bit that I want to emphasize, shifts beliefs. It's not just matter of just whack up a photo here and there. It's about, does this actual content help in any way? Is this, like, whenever you're posting stuff, think about it this way, is this post I'm making, will this give any kind of benefit, or will it, if someone reads this, will they get value from it in any way or form? If the answer is no, then don't bother, because it's just, you're just posting for the sake of it. You want to be very strategic, and it saves you time when you think like this way as well, and you end up converting more people. Concentrate on building your brand. That is another big thing I would say, is that the ones that are going to win next year are the ones that are building their brands, because in the day, people want to go where it's busy, they want to go, or where it's, you know, they know that someone looks after the business more, or whatever it is, you know, whatever your branding is, meaning that whatever your values are or anything like this, you need to put it out there. And the big one, obviously, is growing your list. You know, if you're running these ads and stuff, you're generally growing your list. My biggest thing for you is then, okay, learn on how to nurture that list. That is where the money is. It's all in the nurturing process. Have monthly themes. You know, if you're struggling for content, use live video. Live video still works very well, because people know if you mess up on live, it's real. So you're just being yourself. And that's what converts as well. That's what people buy. They want to see you be you. Understand who you are and what you're about. I think I've already covered that. All right, so in the ads manager, so you've got all these different objectives: traffic, ads, engagement, all boost, and all this stuff. My recommendation for you is use them different. Each objective has its own little task. So like traffic ads generally is to send to blogs or sending to websites. Lead form ads, obviously most of you guys use that one. Engagement ads, do you even use that? Everyone thinks boosting doesn't work anymore. Yes, it does, but the strategic way of it is like what I've kind of talked about, where it's about content. You want to boost that stuff out, and it's all about these different touch points. People you might get a lead come through today, for example, but then they might see your other content over the past month, over the next month, and then convert in the month after. But if you don't do these content marketing, and it's not like, maybe one of the content is martial arts expensive, for example, and then you kind of talk about, you know, how important is your child, you know, kind of thing. Is that priceless, isn't it? You know, stuff like that. You want to shift beliefs. You want to think about what is important to them. And then, yeah, organic content works hands down. Still, don't stop doing that. I know people think of me just being paid, but I do a lot of organic. The way I work it out is, if it works really well on my organic post, that is what I turn into ads. So that's how you want to think about it. So don't always think that putting an ad first is the way forward. I actually prefer testing the other way. Make sure that it works organically. If I see like good interaction on it, then I would go, great, let's put some ad spend on it. Now, to summarize, the ways to stand out on social media, multi-platforms. I'm hoping that bit that I went over, some of that stuff I'm sure you've known, but I'm hoping that I kind of gave you some different ideas. Go where your audience is. That's a big one. You know, if you find that in your area there's not, you know, not as many business owners, for example, then LinkedIn probably won't be your place. Retarget is the key. So retarget doesn't just mean ads, you know, emails, texts, all that stuff. And don't have all your eggs in one basket. For next year, that is going to be a big thing. I think with more and more businesses coming online, you'll find that lead cost and stuff like that is going to go higher. It will in January because the whole fitness industry will be advertising. So, you know, you want to have other areas that you can go into that you can get leads from as well. And your conversions happen in that the middle bit where your warm leads are. Someone knows of you or has heard of your name, much easier to convert them than going after someone that has never heard of you. And last bit, learn ChatGPT. If you're not doing it, I would highly recommend. It's only been 1 year old, and you want to think about that, how far it's got in 1 year and how many businesses it's changed and stuff. So that is a big thing I would highly recommend that you guys do. I think that is the last bit. So let me come out of this. So I hope you found that useful. If you let me know in the chat what bit you found useful, if there was anything, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask away. I'm hoping you found a fair bit of value. So I tried to give an overall structure to it all, but I didn't want to like just keep it just Facebook. I know Facebook is still a big one, but I wanted to make you guys aware of other places. And yeah, don't just pigeonhole yourself.
That was really interesting, Swap.
Yeah,
really interesting. And yeah, it was a surprise to us that you went into lots of other platforms. That was so helpful. You know, we've learned a good amount from that. One question I would have, I loved hearing about all the different platforms. What is more used by different age groups. And when you talk about multi-platform use, in your view, because I think maybe a lot of our clients might think, oh my God, there's so much, they might be a bit overwhelmed. I need to be on all the platforms. What's your advice about kind of how many platforms at any given time our guys should be focusing on?
I would just pick one more extra first. Not go crazy with it. You know, just I think that's a great question. I think the bit that people need to get used to is just doing content right first. Because that content, you just put it on other platforms. You're not trying to create more work for yourself. You're like literally going, okay, is my audience actually in that other area? Okay, I'm doing this content on my Facebook. Just try improving that first, and then just use them videos and then whack them around. So, you know, in terms of how much extra time it will be, it shouldn't be too much more. It's literally like, yeah, but if you're like, okay, out of the lot, which one should I concentrate more on? I would, like you guys talked about it earlier, interviewing your parents and all this stuff, speak to your audience and ask them, hey, out of these platforms, which one do you use the most? And it's surprising that even 15 or even 30 minutes down the 30 miles away or something, people react very differently. So I think that's a big thing that people probably ask them and then do it there. Probably the easiest way.
And another thing that I was really interested in, you seem quite passionate about email lists, and making that a big mechanism for talking to prospective students. Do you see a higher conversion rate from email leads that you get versus social media leads?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they're both the same, because your email list generally comes from the social media. So, but the thing is that a lot of people think email is dead or it doesn't work and stuff like that. But you want to be thinking about this way, is that if you're getting an email open rates of like, I don't know, industry average is about 10-15%, but most places get about 20%. You know, even that is a lot of people. Like out of 1,000, for example, that's 200 people seeing your stuff every single day or every time you email. It's just staying. But the bit that people don't think of is that it's not always about open rates. It's about seeing that name just keep every day coming, or every few days coming there. It's just staying top of mind, and that's what marketing is. when I started doing email more a few years back, yeah, my revenue increased massively, and I was surprised. But I hardly see other school owners implement it though. It's a massive trick that most of them are not doing.
Would you say that falls into, you were talking about building the brand, that is extremely important for general awareness. Does that fall into the strategy for brand building? What else do our clients need to do to build the brand in their local area?
I would just share and just document what you're doing. Like just share what's happened at your school or something. You know, like if you're making a post about a kid that got a certificate, put it in your email list as well, or something, or there's a real award or something. I think that it's not that much harder to just take that same content and put it into your emails. And then that just builds the brand itself. Like, and then you share testimonials. The thing is that people, when they open emails, they're okay with it being sometimes salesy or sometimes, but I think most people don't put their own, because here's the thing. So when you're actually reading an email, it's just a one-to-one interaction. There's no ads, there's nothing, and you've got that person's attention for next few minutes. That's very powerful. You can't get that on social media. So when my mentor told me that, I was like, oh, yeah, that's very, that's a really, really good point. So email works very, very well, but the way to be strategic is don't just keep selling, because that's when people will stop opening your emails. But if you start giving them good value, like in the sense teaching them something or something like that, then it works really well.
I suppose it also allows you to be multi-message in an email as well, doesn't it? So it doesn't just have to be like a social post it's fairly short, it's fairly quick, it's one thing, whereas in an email you can obviously do additional things in there. So it can be the message congratulating somebody for doing something amazing, but also something about the workshop you're running in a couple of weeks or something like that. You've got more.
So when you make a post on Facebook, for example, it's only like 3 to 5% of your followers see it. So you actually get more exposure in your emails than your Facebook page. So it's just having that aspect.
Got a few questions from clients here. Do you want me to read them out for you, Swap?
Yeah, go for it.
So from James, which site would you use to post content on different platforms simultaneously? I just use MetaSuite because it's free and easy, but do you suggest something else?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of them. There's HubSpot does one, and there's loads of different scheduling tools. I think I don't get too fixated on the tool. Like think about the content. They all do similar things. So you can find one that's cheaper and stuff. But there's one called Metrical, which is really good from what I hear.
We've used Posto Plan as well. That's quite good, quite simple.
So maybe learning one of them platforms won't take too long. It's just and then so there's that. What else is there? I mean, there is a lot of them. So I don't worry too much on the tools. Just get the content.
Content's more important than the tool.
You can also, if you a new thing they've added to Canva as well, is you can schedule and post straight from Canva. So
brilliant.
So skip a step, you can hook your like your either your Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you can hook that up into Canva, and then when you create your graphic or whatever you're doing, you can then, where it says the share button, you go to like download and things, you can now post that straight from Canva and schedule that out. So yeah, it makes it a little bit easier. It kind of skips a step. You don't have to download it, go into something else. You can do it all from one platform.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. Canva's awesome. I love Canva.
It's great. Andy's put, what was the primary age group for using Facebook? Was it 35 to 49?
For Facebook, well, yeah, I think it is getting older, the generation, but
so people under 30 aren't really using it anymore, is that?
No, they are. I think Facebook is still the king out of them, from my point of view. Facebook still has a lot of younger lot going on there. It's because the platform is so multi-dimensional, like groups and all this stuff that other platforms don't have. So for them, like a big thing happening right now is the online learning space. So the online educators, like what I am, like an online course creator, whatever, that industry is getting huge. But what most of them are doing are creating Facebook groups or getting people into that. They're not doing it on Instagram. Instagram's just like getting people in, but they're using Facebook in different ways. So I don't think Facebook will ever disappear for this market. I'm seeing quite a lot of younger lot going through as well. So,
Have you heard anything? I was reading something a couple of weeks ago that they were thinking of introducing a subscription Facebook so you can
in
prevent
Europe.
ads.
Yeah, I think it's in New Zealand, isn't it? I think they've made it live in New Zealand as well. So it's.
Do you think that's something that might take off here?
I mean, I'm not too worried on that, to be fair, because if you YouTube or in YouTube Premium quite a while back, didn't really affect it that much. So I mean, there will be a portion of people that will go there, but you know, there'll still be a lot of people that you can still run ads to, which makes me happy.
And Damien has written, which email platform is best to use, as there are so many now?
IMA.
Yes, there are.
IMA, Damien.
Maybe skip that question. No, just I mean, there are so many. My biggest advice is not MailChimp.
Okay.
Every other one apart from that, from my point of view, because they're develop. I can never say the word deliverability. That's it. Is not that good. Why do I keep going blurry? One sec. But yeah, to be fair, all email platforms, they all work well. You know, you just pick one.
Yeah.
But just not MailChimp.
Not MailChimp. I mean, just to come in there, we are in Q1 next year, so our big target for March is to deliver a new prospect nurturing hub. So ours does a hell of a lot, but it's the usability is not great. So Swap, I know we've spoken about this. We're completely revamping it. We're putting in a funnel system for you, a much stronger nurturing system. There'll be more automations based on which part of the funnel your prospect's in. So the communication is going to be ramped up massively. You're going to have task management in there as well. So that'll be something to look out for, Damien, moving forward.
Exciting.
Let's have a look. I don't think cool. I don't think we've got any other questions coming in. Well, I think we're bang on time as well. This is quite amazing. Well, listen, I don't think we do have any other questions. Swapnil, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for giving your time and helping our clients with their 2024 strategies. It's been really helpful for us as well. And yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope people watching have enjoyed. Just to let you know, we will continue this webinar program into next year. So Victoria and I have been working on a really cool schedule for you, which will be all about lead generation, retention. There'll be some exciting stuff from clients, existing clients of ours. We want you to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were. So some really successful clients are going to come on and talk to you about what they do to generate more income streams, what they do to get more students through the door and to keep their students. So we've got some really exciting stuff to bring you next year. Swap's going to be continuing to work with us next year as well. So we're going to have some awesome information to share with you. So yeah, look out for it. We're going to get that 2024 schedule out to you within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Facebook community group in your emails. It'll all come out and we'll send everything over so that you've got all the details. Yeah, get you signed up.
Yeah. And as this is the last webinar of the year, it just leaves us to say a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Congratulations on all the hard work you've done this year. Let's make January an absolute banger going into 2024. And we'll make that the year to be had, the best year ever. So listen, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Swap.
Cheers.
And we will sign out and see you very soon.